The party of a merchant and a strange fellow have concluded their time in Luvenza, filled up the cart to as much as it needs to be filled, and are once again on the road. The destination this time is Forteza de Holland, a fortress. As we kind of start the day's travel, what is it exactly that you're trying to sell in Forteza?
I want to check the weapons market, but if it's not like really high or really good, then I'm just going to save my weapons for Hampshire.
Fair enough. Well then, the cart rattles out of Luvenza. Luckily, the token given to you by the local Luvenza Merchant Guild prevents you from getting another shakedown by city guards or magistrates. And soon, you're passing through the rolling countryside in the Duchy of Luvenza. This is very densely populated, as much so as Ravenna was, and there's less rolling hills, but more so flat farmland. Basically, as far as the eye can see, is agriculture. And I would like both of you guys to make a perception check. Alrighty, we got a 14 from Sophia.
I'm working on it.
15. Okay.
That's higher than 14.
It is higher than 14. Yeah, the two of you continue to rattle your cart across the roads. You do have a couple people occasionally glance over, but, you know, it's largely whatever. Around noon, you decide to stop. Would you like to eat rations or partake in some local cuisine?
How many rations do I actually have?
You have 18. You've only eaten them for one night so far. You've stayed in cities for the rest of them.
Yeah, we'll do rations tonight.
Alrighty then. You guys, yeah, it's not for the night. It's just for midday lunch. So you tap into your rations, and Sophia, as you go and lift up the tarp to access the back of your cart, there is a lanky teenager hidden amongst your, I mean, not really hidden, just like sitting amongst your supplies. And as you lift up the tarp, he looks at you and gives you a kind of awkward smile. Hello?
What are you doing in there?
And he kind of, his eyes pass from Anatoly to you and says, I was just hitching a ride.
To where?
Come on, then.
Where from?
Wherever you're headed.
When did you get on our cart?
Oh, a couple miles back.
What's your name?
Ostap.
Sophie's going to try to like grab him by the collar and kind of like pull him out.
Yeah, he's a lanky teenager, and he's not armed or anything. You just kind of like reach down, grab his collar. He very softly resists, but soon enough you have him like pulled up to his feet, and you can see that his clothing is run down. He's clearly an agricultural worker. He's even has like seeds kind of in the back of his long hair, and you kind of pull him up to full height, and he looks at the two of you and says, "Look, I didn't steal anything."
I want to pat him down.
Yeah, he's not wearing much in the way of things that could hide things. He's wearing simple trousers and a tunic on top of it. So you press the pockets of the trousers, you press along the like underside of the tunic, basically anywhere that things could be hidden. But you don't have many small things in your cart. I mean, you have like spears and bolts and all these difficult to conceal things, and you don't find anything on him.
I want to also check his socks and shoes.
Okay, you reach down and, you know, he starts to like kind of step side to side a bit uncomfortably, but, you know, you take off his shoe and look on the bottom, and he has nothing, like not just from your cart, but like from his own personal possessions. He doesn't have a coin purse. He doesn't have like a piece of bread for a day's travel. He has literally nothing.
Okay, I'll give him back his shoes and socks. And
yeah, he quickly pulls them back on.
You know, you could have just asked. You didn't have to sneak on.
I was under a bit of time pressure, and I couldn't risk you saying no.
That is true. I would have probably said no if I were making a decision. Where are you running from?
Look, we don't need to be friendly. Just wherever you're headed, I'll hop off your cart when you get there.
If you're getting a free ride, you're telling us where you're going and why.
I'm going anywhere else.
Why?
The Baron of my village wants to cut off my hands.
Well, I assume there's a reason besides him liking hands. Elaborate, boy.
Accused of stealing.
Well, did you?
I don't think that matters much. I like my hands.
Well, unfortunately for you, it's more trouble than it's worth. So you're gonna have to find another cart to hitch a ride on.
Well, unfortunately for you, you've already aided and abetted a criminal within Stocktonshire, so I think you'd get as much trouble as I did if I were to get caught, because I would say your name and your name.
What are our names?
I think I will be more likely to be believed as a member of the Merchants Guild rather than a random person who stowed away in my cart.
Maybe. But is it worth risking when you could just take
Compared
me
to
to
getting
wherever
caught
you're
with you in
going
our
and I
cart?
could
Yes.
disappear? Who's gonna catch you? They don't search along this road.
Until they do. When they're hunting a criminal that has just recently escaped in this direction.
Accused criminal.
Mhm. Accused or not, it gets me in trouble if you're found.
I'll look between the two of you. Good to see that, merciful people are on the roads these days. And he'll hop off the cart and begin to walk towards a field of wheat.
Okay,
The wheat in this area is a bit like descended from the road, and it's all like green stalks just beginning to sprout out from the soil. But the moment he gets into like the field proper, he drops to his stomach. And from the uplifted road, it's very easy to see him. But if for other people that were in the field, if they like looked around, they probably wouldn't be able to spot him between the green stalks. And he begins to crawl on his belly into the field.
I was willing to give him a ride if it wasn't for him being hunted. I don't think we can accept that kind of trouble right now.
Yeah, yes, I agree. They have more importance than some boys who lie.
Well, let's be on our way then.
Roll me a perception check, Sophia. So you keep your coins very distributed across your body. It came up when the bandits stole from you. You keep you have multiple coin purses. 2, many of them are hidden. The only one that's even visible is one containing a paltry number of coppers. You got stole from a lot when you were first a merchant, so you've learned your lesson. And you are missing that coin purse that you hold on. Basically the decoy coin purse that's on your waist that contains 20 coppers. That's no longer there.
I didn't even get to roll a check for it. It just happened.
You did roll a check for it.
That was a perception check before he even interacted with him? Or you're saying the current one?
Not the current one, no.
And I'm confused, because that was before you even talked to him. He was just
Correct.
in the cart. Okay. And I didn't find it when I searched him either?
He didn't have it at that point.
Okay. That perception rolls before he left.
Correct. It was. It doesn't
I
have to be at the
searched
exact
him
same event
after-
temporally.
Yeah, but the roll happened, and then I checked him after we found him.
Correct.
So where was the copper?
It was on your person still. He hadn't stolen it yet. The check isn't directly in time with when the theft happened. Because if it was, then you would know. That's why you called before.
I want linearity.
It is a linear. I'm sorry.
I mean, it doesn't really make sense that as I'm searching him, he's able to steal it, and I don't find anything, but neither of us see it.
Well, it's not. Well, one, yes, neither of you saw it because he had a good sleight of hand check, as all rogues do, as all sleight of hand works. And yeah, he took it afterward, as you guys were talking for about a minute.
Okay.
I mean, you can still spot him from the car. It's not like he's disappeared completely. He's crawling amongst the field nearby.
I don't
And I don't know anything about this, so we don't even know if I got stolen from.
True.
Whatever. Let's keep going.
My 9 copper.
Okay. You continue. You just gently tap with your pull on the reins of the horses, and they begin to once again clatter along the road. This time you keep an eye out for. You're not really sure when he slipped into the cart or through what method, but you keep an eye out for any other clinger-ons. And the rest of the day's ride, or I guess slow traveling cart ride to Forteza is relatively uneventful. The farmland continues to slowly slope upwards as you travel inland. And Forteza de Harland is similar in size to Portada de Esmalio. It's a bit smaller, but like the castle itself, the town around it's a lot smaller, but the castle itself is of similar size. The banners of the Duke of Luvenza hang from the castle, and a town has popped up around it. There's a couple of inns, there's some local mills. It's a whole settlement built up around this castle. And as you begin to approach basically the nearest of the inns to dock your cart, there's a preacher standing on a little crate. He has his arms kind of wide open, and he's speaking to the people walking past him.
Please, we do not need bloodshed in these terrible days. Make peace with your brothers, with the halflings,
And no one pays him any attention as he preaches. And yeah, you guys can pay for cart service and room. There's only one tavern that can accommodate carts. You also notice that there's another merchant staying here as well. He has a cart with 4 horses, so probably, and a bigger cart, so the maximum size essentially. And all told, it'll set you back 1 electrum for rooms plus cart.
Each.
And as the two of you hop off the cart and head into the common room, it's relatively busy. There are local people, a couple of travelers. There is that other merchant, and as you kind of step in and spot him, you recognize him, Sophia. He's a member of the Ravenna Merchants Guild named Pavla Martin. He's currently chatting with a local person. You're not quite sure what their profession is, but him and her are kind of leaning across the table talking.
I'll wait until it seems like his conversation's dying down before approaching.
Yeah, it takes maybe 30, 40 seconds. He leans back and hands her a small purse, and then she hands him a couple of silver coins. And as you approach, Pavla glances over and says, "Oh, Iris.
Pavla.
You're
brings
rather
you
far
here?"
east."
As you are.
Fair enough. And he'll notice kind of Anatoly lingering behind you and say, "Is that a mercenary?"
Apprentice.
Apprentice? He's older than you.
He's a family that's fallen on some tough times.
Ah, I suppose that tough times run in the family then.
So you heard as well.
Of course I did. I may be in Luvenza, but, well, we still get news in Luvenza, especially news of mistakes as big as that one.
Yeah. Won't be happening again.
Are you still trading in spears and armor and whatnot?
Yep, that's what we're doing right now.
Ah, makes sense. Well, we could share some notes on what we've heard.
What's the markets looking like here?
Not particularly great. Overall, they're not a very wealthy bunch. Lots of travelers, not a lot of permanent population. I've been trying to mostly sell folk remedies. It's been going fine. I think I'll move on though. I've heard that in Luvenza and Ravenna both have better markets. I have heard to the east though that Fiordanza, they have a real appetite for them, so I'll probably go out that way, see if it's true. Where are you headed after this?
Same place as you.
Fiordanza?
Before we head further east, yeah?
Huh. We should move in tandem then. I've heard that bandits here and over near Ravenna, both duchies have started to become more common.
Ah, well then it'll be much appreciated to have you along.
Did you encounter anything like that on your way here?
Not in between here in Luvenza, but yes, on our journeys in general.
Well, you look in good health, so clearly you did something.
Thankfully they didn't take as much as thought they would.
Bandits with a heart of gold? You're
More
lucky.
so, they couldn't find everything else.
I hope it wasn't too much.
No, thankfully not.
Well, for weapons and armor, I think the garrison needs a couple. I hope you didn't invest too heavily, though. It's a pretty small garrison.
That's okay. If it doesn't pan out here, then I got other places that we're heading towards to sell them.
Where are you heading past Fiordanza? All that's east of there is the baronies.
That's where we're heading.
Seriously?
I have a contact there.
Sure, but... Alright, it's your safety to risk, not my problem.
What, has it ramped up worse?
Of course it has. I mean, did you hear about those, I think it must have been a week ago, 3 tax collectors were strung up by the halflings?
If that's what you're worried about, then we'll be fine.
I don't think you will. They cut off their feet. You ever heard of that? Halflings cutting off human feet? It's...
We have a contact that's meeting us before we get into halfling territory, so we'll have safe travels, don't worry.
Is there contact a halfling?
Yes.
I mean, that's a good start, but I don't think they're... Well, do as you will. Not to mention, I will say, you'll be lucky if the other humans there don't view you as some sort of smuggler, especially if you're transferring weapons. They'll probably say that you're supplying the Bloodfoots.
We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, then.
Do you have a letter of marque, a letter of recommendation, anything to assure them that you're a good, loyal, Stedian citizen and not a halfling sympathizer?
I could pull out my trading writ.
I suppose you could do that. At least tell me you're gonna get paid a lot for this from this contact of yours.
That's what we're here for. I wouldn't be traveling this far out east if I wasn't.
Could. He'll look at Anatoly. And so, you're her, what, uncle?
Nah, I'm gonna have left by then.
Oh, you wandered away while they're talking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go outside and talk to that preacher.
That's funny. Well then, he'll gesture for you to sit, Sophia, and you and him will trade information. You have this whole little ledger of basically all the pricing that you have on the spreadsheet, you also have in a physical ledger, so you can share pricing with him. He'll also share pricing with you, and there's a couple of adjustments. First of all, that tip you received on Forteza de Harland was wrong. It wasn't terribly wrong, like they do still have a demand, it's just not as high as you were told. He'll also update you on Fiordanza, because he actually has been researching, like learning a lot about that city, because he's planning on going there. So I'll just fully fill in that. And let me review to make sure there's no other incorrect information that you have that he can correct.
I see you put in the number, but then it disappears. I don't know if that's on purpose.
I know.
Okay.
I'll fix it in a moment. Oh, I'm so fucking dented. I forgot the drag down function in Excel. Jesus Christ. Dench. Okay, there we go. Cool. Yeah, you have all the information on Fiordanza. When he's saying folk remedies, by the way, that would be under the alchemy section, which is why he's interested in going there, because he has not been able to sell much to these locals. Cool. Let's see, do you have any juicy information on alchemy that he should learn? Nah, you don't really have much that he doesn't. Oh! Wait, where's Leof Castro? Oh, it's to the south. Okay, you got some juicy info on that. He'll give you 4 silver for that tip. It's typically good form to give someone like a monetary compensation if you're going to make a lot of money off their tips. So for the Leo Castro information, he'll give you 4 silver. I think that's the only piece.
He particularly seem valuable enough for that or not really?
I mean, he gave you, you know what he gave you. He gave you the Fiordanza info. He corrected the Forteza info, but you're already here. He doesn't know anything about the baronies because that's insane to him.
I'll insist that he keeps 2 of those silver then, and only take 2.
Okay.
In return for
There's
the
cities that are nearby. Oh, he would also know everything about Grana Viglia because that's where he came from last, so I'll update that as well. But yeah, that's about it. He's
Not bad for weapons, actually.
Yeah. You do know that he's largely a snake oil salesman is a very derogatory way to refer to it. He trades in local remedies and alchemy is his main area. Occasionally, he's also done fire moss, but that's a very high-risk business, so not as
Right.
often.
Where is Grana Vigalia? It's not marked on
Grana
the map.
Vigalia is to the west of Forteza. Actually, I'll just give you access to that name since he would point it
Is
out
that
for you.
the Luvenza?
Actually, I'll just populate all the nearby towns with names because he's been in this region for a couple of weeks now,
Okay.
trying to sell stuff off. So to your north is a town called Tancredino. To your south is Leo of Castro, which is the one you had information on. And to your southwest is Osbervento. Yeah, those are all the ones you'd be familiar with. Yeah, then while you share your information and begin to populate all that, we will cut to Anatoly outside. The priest is a motley-looking fellow. He has a monk's habit, indicating that he's taken the vows of chastity and poverty that most members of the more zealous orders of the Lady take. The habit is like worn, indicating his order is rather poor. Around his neck, his holy symbol resembles a silver tree, and he continues to talk to passerbys of peace and prosperity, and largely everyone ignores him.
Silver tree, what do I know about it?
The Order of the Healing Tree is one of the poorest in all of the basically, it's the poorest of the major orders, and they basically believe in. There's this one stanza from one of the lady's proclamations where she says that all people should essentially attempt to cure each other, like help each other against the monsters of the world. And the Order of the Healing Tree focuses on that passage as much as possible. They offer free healing services, free resurrections if they can do it. They largely focus on doing charity work, but that results in most kings not giving a fuck about them because the Order of the Lady also does a lot of that charity work, and they don't fight. Most Order of the Healing Tree people take oaths of pacifism, which makes them incredibly unpopular almost everywhere they go, because you could go sponsor like the Order of the Flaming Sword instead, which will give you paladins and all sorts of benefits. The good King Mathys, the deceased one, was a sponsor of the Order of the Healing Tree, but obviously he's dead, so.
I'm gonna ask this guy. You're talking about the halflings.
He'll pause as you approach and look down and say,
Yes, I speak of the halflings.
What about them?
Well, good King Mathys made his decree clear. He is a chivalric king, chosen by the lady herself, and he said that we should treat them as fellow men, not as monsters. I see great bloodshed building up. It is the moment when the tide recedes before a great wave. It is a terrible violence which is approaching, and we must stop it.
Have you been to Hampshire before?
I have. I was there during the crusade.
What did you see? What was it like?
he sits down so he's like eye level with you, not standing on the crate above you, and he says,
It was the deepest of man-made hells. There was no piety there. There was nothing of faith or virtue. It was greed and butchery and wrong.
What did we do to them?
When the walls fell, the Duke of Ravenna and the Countess of Luvenza said that every man could take anything he could carry in his arms as war booty. Some men carried 4 or 5 halflings in their arms to take as slaves. Others filled their arms with silver, pried from holy shrines, and everything else. It was slaughter. The streets were thick with blood.
Were there any who helped the halflings?
He just shakes his head. If it had not been for the decree of Mathys, a mere 3 months after the fall of the city, I suspect we would speak of halflings in the past tense.
I'm on my way to Hampshire now. Do you have any advice for me?
I advise you patience. Halflings are deeply suspicious and hateful of humans, a reputation I believe we have well deserved.
And
Do you have any?
speak of Mathys. They honor him. They call him Gwalder, which I've been told means something like savior. They recognize a good king when they see one.
Eric's, what do I know about Mathys?
Essenia has been ruled by regents, which are basically noblemen who rule on behalf of an empty throne for a very long time. In fact, there was about a 100-year period where only regents ruled over the kingdom. But very recently, like 3 years ago, a man managed to emerge from Morellian Wood, which is where the kingly blade Oathbringer was. Holding the blade, he declared himself the rightful chivalric king and fought a little war, killed all the people who said he wasn't the king, and asserted himself as the sole monarch of Estenia. Basically, he also had prismatic eyes, which indicated he was like a blessed champion of the lady. He instituted a bunch of reforms. He, for example, issued reparations to the halflings, apologized, made the halfling baronies. He signed a new treaty with the last Minotaur tribe. Yeah?
You cut out there.
Bro's internet is dying.
Eric,
which part did I cut out?
He came out, declared himself king, started a war.
Yeah. He fought against those who did not accept him as king. And then he instituted a number of reforms, such as like reparations to the halflings and forming the baronies. He spared the last free Minotaur tribe. And he was basically preparing the nation for outward expansion rather than inward integration.
How long ago was this?
He died about a year ago.
Okay.
And now regents rule the realm again.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell this priest, thank you for your time.
If you go to Hampshire, perhaps find yourself a holy symbol to wear around your neck. I've heard that they are kinder to those with, those that are not of the Order of the Flaming Sword.
Yes. Do you have any,
Yes,
that I
yes.
could use?
He reaches into his satchel, pulls out a wooden, tree holy symbol, and hands it to you.
Alright. I'll add that to my sheet. Thank you.
What brings you to the baronies?
We are merchants, and my friend has contacts there.
And you do not fear reprisal from the Duke of Luvenza?
Or should we?
It has been known to happen. Merchants have had their cargo impounded and accused of supplying the halfling rebels.
Do you know anyone here who has had that happen?
No, many of them are still in prison. There's a member of my own order imprisoned in Glenfair, accused of aiding the rebels.
Yes, well, thank you. I will keep an eye out for this.
May the lady bless you. And he'll stand back up on his crate. Where do you head, Anatoly?
That was what I wanted to do, so I guess back to the bar now.
Yeah, Sophia and Pavle are still sharing notes on various places on the risk. She's explaining where the bandits struck you guys and that they had a local working with them. He'll share that in Luvenza, they're basically shaking down people for money, which unfortunately you've already experienced. And, you know, as you return, Anatoly, and just kind of sit down at the edge of the table, Pavle will look at you, Sophia, and say, "So I never did hear why you decided to stay a merchant after you acquired all that debt. Most people would run away rather than try to pay it off."
You go to what, though?
Another country, change their name.
I became a merchant for a reason in the first place, and I've stayed a merchant this long. I don't want to leave it over something like this if I can make it back.
Do you really think you can pay it off?
I do.
How much have you made on this trip?
Sorry, I'm eating.
Yeah, the local tavern food's quite good.
I have a deal with my debtor that will help me pay off some of it. So while I haven't made as much money yet on the trip, I'm hoping to at least offset some of it once we get to halfling territory, and then
What sort of deal?
mainly just establishing contact with the halflings, hopefully opening a trade route for the future for him.
Well, then. And you continue to small talk on all sorts of little tidbits of information. It's largely rumor and hearsay. Very little of it is relevant to the baronies, but he'll eventually call it a night. He'll be heading out towards Fiodanza the next morning, so he encourages you to get some sleep as well, so you can join him.
Okay.
And, the tavern is not particularly lively, and you make your way up and get some sleep. The food costs about $1. The whole trip seems to constantly be nickeling and diming you as you journey eastward. And, do you remember how much gold you started with, Dodo? It was like 100, right?
No, because I made 15 of it back and I lost like 18 or 15 or something like that.
Well, you also bought cargo out of that 100, right?
Oh, yeah. It was between 80 and 100, yeah, I want to say.
I'm going to assume it was 100. Just because it's a nice round number, and I'd probably do a nice round number. Okay, cool. Then, after a good night's sleep, in the early hours of the morning, you head back down. Pavle helps you get your horses attached, and you form a little caravan. His cart is not covered with a tarp. He likes to essentially advertise his merchandise. It's filled with all sorts of glass vials and bottles, all like gently partitioned with little bits of wool and other things to keep them apart. A lot of them are like brightly colored and have little, sometimes some of them even have little like text like scrawled on them, like basilisk's blood and things like that. And yeah, the two of you begin to jingle eastward towards Fiodanza.
How's Gallant doing? You holding up?
Yeah, I mean, he's slowly getting used to the workload. Luckily, this isn't the craziest difficult thing. It's just slowly clip-clopping for about 8 hours a day and then calling it good. If you're trying to push more than 20 miles a day, then it'd be difficult. But in fact, most days you're going less than 20. So he's all right for now. He's doing okay.
All right.
Yeah. As you continue onwards towards Fiodanza, you notice that the terrain is slowly becoming a little bit more rocky, and these settlements are going a little bit sparser. Now it's a village every 2 miles instead of 1 mile. But Fiodanza is a big city. It's not as big as, it's not walled, but it is almost as big as Ravenna in terms of the sprawl of the size. It has a large cattle market that you can see over on the right, or I guess animal market, and as you guys near one of the kind of impromptu gates of the city, because it has no walls, just like an archway, Pavle will glance over his shoulder and say, "Well, I'm probably going to go set up a stall in the marketplace. I assume you'll just sell your things and move on? Or do you have anything to sell?"
Hold on, let me look at the sheet. I don't. We have some weapons. We'll at least check out the markets and see if the prices seem good.
All right, then. Well, if I don't see you, good luck.
You as well.
And he begins to clip-clop his cart over towards a section of the square that seems a little bit open. And you can park your cart on the edge and begin to walk around. This is a large market square, as again, similar to one you'd see in a major city. So there's lots of stalls. Weaponry is a lot more rare. As discussed before, commoners can only carry certain types of weapons. Swords, for instance, completely forbidden for normal people to use is on their person. Armor, also quite rare. You do find slings, so shepherd's weapons like slings, hand axes, things which have functional uses are sold here, but nothing really in the realm of what you have in your cart. That's much more military in purpose.
There's not really like a merchant's guild or anything?
Fear Danza does have a Merchant's Guild, yeah.
Oh, then I want to visit them.
Yeah,
and see
the
what
Fear Danza Merchant's Guild is a small building compared to the types you're used to. It's basically like 2 rooms. There's a common room that you just like walk through, and then a counter, and then behind that another room that you can see through an open doorway. The clerk is a younger man, and he'll look at you as you walk up and say, "Good afternoon."
Hello. I have some weapons on hand. I was curious if you guys were looking at buying it all.
Oh. Let me go take a look. And he walks over to, like, it's still on the counter. He picks up a ledger and walks over and says, the Castellan of New Breton requested some weapons, but that was a couple of months ago. It may have been fulfilled by someone else by now.
Is that the one further down south?
Oh, it's another name. It's the official name for Hampshire.
Oh, I see.
He said he wanted several sets of plate and great swords. Not sure what you have.
Nothing of that caliber. That's very expensive.
Yes. That's about it, though. Have you been to Luvenza?
Yes. That's where we came from.
Ah. Well. Then, no, I'm not sure if I can help you.
That's all right. Appreciate you taking the time.
You head back outside, and the pricing on the axes, hand axes, other kind of like simple weapons you saw was still a bit higher than usual, meaning there is a demand for these types of things. It's just, you're not sure who you could offer these more killy weapons to.
I'm not really necessarily wanting to sell them here. It's just if the prices seemed good, I was going to sell some.
Yeah. Do you want to try to push to get to Cadmore tonight, or do you want to just wait in Fiodanza and take it tomorrow?
Before I did want to talk to Sophia about something.
Oh, sure. Yeah. As you exit the Merchants Guild, Anatoly, you're just kind of lingering near the doorway, and Sophia exits about the same. No new coins in her hand, so it must have not gone successful.
Sophia, yes. I was speaking to some of the villagers in that past hamlet, and from the sounds of it, traders often get arrested by Estonians in Hampshire territory. They often accuse us of smuggling to the halflings, which I suppose we are doing, but...
Well, that's hopefully what our contact's for.
Well, yes, but he's only popular among the halflings, isn't he? The humans don't care for him. He's a councilman of the little ones.
I mean, besides skipping the towns altogether, there's not a lot we can do about it. We have to make it to Hampshire regardless.
Doesn't your other contact, does he not, isn't he friendly with the humans? Could he put in a good word for us?
Let me check the sheet. I thought the radish would be the most likely to be nice to humans. Oh, no, that's not him. Does this place have a place to send letters? I doubt it, but...
No, it's pretty big. Like I said, it's on par with Ravenna in size, so yeah, it does.
Okay. I want to send a letter to the Baron, then Parsnip of Glenfair.
Okay.
I'll tell him. Well, if you're not worried about it, let's not risk it. We can stay here an extra night, and I can send one of my contacts that's more friendly with humans a letter and see what the climate is, and if he can give us any sort of help in that regards.
Yes, I think that would be the right decision.
You head to the courier stand. These are all private enterprises, so it'll cost you 3 electrum, which is very steep for a message like this, but they're going to the baronies, so they charge a bit extra.
Age.
And what would you like to send to Parsnip of Glenfair?
basically that we're in Fjordanza. We were going to be heading to Cadmore, but we've heard news about the climate being a lot more risky with me possibly being arrested for supplying halflings weapons. So seeing if he had any either advice or if he had any letters of recommendation, anything like that would be able to assist in our travels.
Yeah, you send the letter. It's about a day's journey to get there, so at minimum, it'd be 2 days or 3 days before you get a reply. But yeah, you pay 3 electrum. It's sent off on courier. Maybe if you're really lucky, it'll get there later today. But yeah. Now what?
That's it. Now we wait.
Okay, now we wait. We can kind of combine all the expenses just so we're not nickeling and diming. It's going to be about 4 electrum for, lodging, food, etc., while you're waiting for this reply. Since you're sticking around, do you want to help Pavle run his merchant stand? Do you want to get any other cargo, or are you largely satisfied with what you got?
Yeah, I'll help him out.
Okay, cool. He doesn't have like an apprentice, so you find yourself doing essentially apprentice work,
That's fine.
yeah, cleaning off his bottles and things like that. You kind of guard his cart while he's out doing, basically performances, trying to convince people that his stuff cures all their ailments. And his profit margins are disgusting. Fiordanza has a bit more demand, and he's able to extract like 20 times profit margins on some of these bottles. And as the day is winding down, he's starting to pack up his cart, and you're helping him put all these unlabeled vials into the back. He kind of leans in and says, "By the way, if you're ever looking to get out of the arms trading business, I gotta tell you, this is the good stuff. That right there, that's water mixed with just a little bit of pepper. Do you know how much it sells for?
More than it should.
15 gold. I'm just
Depending
saying.
on how the strips go, I may take you up on that offer.
And, you have to be careful with it. I'll be leaving tonight, certainly, under the cover of darkness, but who cares? I made, 350 gold today? That's more than enough.
What does the Merchants Guild think of it?
Well, they don't really care as long as you pull in profits. I'm sure I'm sure the Guildmaster had a couple of choice words with you when you prepared to set out eastward.
That he did.
They don't like unprofitable people.
No, they do not.
And together you pack up the cart, and sure enough, he does not stay at an inn. He immediately leaves. Under the cover of darkness, he heads southwest towards Leof Castro, which you gave him the tip on. You're sure in the morning he'll set up his cart, sell his things, and be gone by noon. And yeah, you decide. It takes a total of 2 nights to get a reply to your message. You're in the common room of the rather shitty country inn that you're staying at. I say country because a lot of the people here are bringing in their goods from outside. It's an agricultural hub, so people are bringing in goats, sheep, all sorts of stuff to sell in town. And so that's the types of people staying here. It smells of animal everywhere, poop and, just general animal musk. And as you and Anatolia are sitting down, waiting for a breakfast of gruel, a courier will approach Sophia, and he'll hand you a reply letter.
There's not some sort of weird customs for tipping these people, are there?
Nope, they're already paid for.
Let's go. Alright, what's the letter say?
Yeah, the letter says, Dear Sophia Turner, regarding your inquiry, the most safe way for you to approach would be to report to the fort of Dunfian. Once there, ask for Sir Roland Dumarche. He will guide you to Glenfair, where I can purchase your cargo, and then onward to Hampshire if you still desire it. Signed off, Baron Parsnip of Glenfair.
That sucks. What did I send in my last one to Parsnip? Or Radish, I mean?
You said you'd be approaching Hampshire by way of Cadmore.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to spend money and send a follow-up. I don't want to get it in bad standing with him.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to send a follow-up message then to Radish, basically saying, unfortunately, due to the riskiness or dangerousness of the area increasing, I will have to be going through Dunfion with another Or I'll just say through Donfion with someone I've been told to reach out to beforehand to ensure safe passage.
Alrighty. -3 Electrum, and with that information, you have enough. If you start leaving now, you can probably get to Dunfion before nightfall.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You send the letter through and return. Anatoly immediately begins to aid you in hitching the horses to the cart, and soon enough, with your little tarp over the back, you begin to rattle eastward. There is no sign that says "Welcome to the Halfling Baronies" or anything like that. Even the border is relatively unclear. The border used to be marked by a series of little wooden forts built by the Halflings, but almost all those were torn down. Only the 2 stone forts remain. However, about 12 miles into your journey, so this is like 4 hours, 5 hours into the journey by cart, you approach your first town that is smaller. Like, all the buildings are smaller. A lot of the buildings are built into the ground or small hills rather than normal buildings. And you spot like small little garden plots, small little fences, everything built for a people of a considerably shorter size. And you begin to realize that you're in the baronies. Of course, Sophia, you've been here before, but for Anatoly, it is the weirdest thing you've ever seen. It's like a town built for children. And
Before you get to there, what's the guy's name again? Roll Dumash, is that correct?
oh, Sir Roland Dumarche, yeah. As you approach this little town, you can see that it has a very similar layout to an Estenian town. It has like a central courtyard through which the rest of the town spreads, and you get your first glimpse of halflings. There's about 30 of them gathered in a circle, or more like a circle around a central point. The halflings are on average 3'5", sometimes a little bit shorter, sometimes a little bit taller. They have big, hairy, bare feet with their rest of their features appear roughly human, but a little bit childlike, and beards are incredibly rare. Of the 40 that are assembled, only one has like the wispings of a beard at all. Again, they look like oversized children, and if it weren't for their feet, you may even mistake them for one. The thing which all of them are currently looking at is there are 4 humans in the middle of the town. You can easily see them over the heads of the halflings because of the about 3-foot height difference. 3 of the humans are clearly soldiers, specifically knights. They are all in plate. They have swords at their side. These are noblemen. The 4th figure is wearing these kind of long, flowing robes. It is a monk's habit, but one of an order that is very well funded. There's little red highlights on it. And in the center of the monk's habit, there is a flaming sword stitched into the cloth. These 4 humans are surrounding a singular halfling who's looking up at them completely horrified. And the monk with the stitched habit is holding a hot piece of metal in tongs. The metal is burning white hot. Currently, it's not touching anything, but you've clearly walked in, or kind of your cart has ridden into something very concerning.
Not our problem.
So do you just begin to go past on your cart?
Yeah, that is way too much to deal with.
Yeah, you try to avoid looking, like you just kind of try to mind your own business as your cart rattles through the courtyard. Anatoly, you can't help but rubberneck, not so much at the thing happening, but at the halflings. I mean, you've never seen a halfling before, and there's a whole town of them.
Look at those feet on those things.
Yeah, I know. No wonder people cut them off. They're oddities. They're so strange. And even though, Sophia, you're trying to focus and not look, you do begin to hear screaming exiting. And Anatoly, you can see that the halfling is basically forced by the 3 human knights to grab onto the piece of metal. You can't really hear what he's saying because you guys, again, are trying to keep your distance and focus on your own thing, but his screams are shrill enough to carry over the short little houses between you and the courtyard.
It doesn't seem like any of the other halflings are paying mind.
No, they're all watching in a circle around the thing in horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We schmoove.
Okay. The scream becomes strangled, and Anatoly, you watch as the halfling basically slumps backwards, like probably passing out from the pain, and then is picked up by one of the knights, and the 3 knights and the monk wearing the habit begin to walk towards a larger building in the town, a human-sized building.
Huh.
And your cart continues to rattle on.
I'll ask Sophia, what was that building? The humans have outposts in these little villages.
I know what that building was.
You have never seen anything like that, but you've also not really been up the Dunfion way. You would normally go
Oh.
through Cadmore.
Not sure, but looking at the way that those people were fitted, it's probably something we shouldn't worry about.
Yes.
After you leave that village, halfling villages are sparse. You know, I talked about over in Ravenna, a village every mile. In the heartland of Luvenza, a village everywhere. Like, basically, they never really stop. In Fiodanza, it's every 2 miles. Here, it's like every 5. Like, there are very few halflings in terms of population. And the few villages you do pass through, the roads typically slant, like, outside of the villages. They don't go through the village center. And none of the halflings, like the ones in the field, they avert their eyes. They don't look at you. Or they go back into the village proper until your cart rattles past. There is no people coming out looking for your wares. There is no, like, waves or people trying to sneak into your cart. There is a fear. Of aura of fear that carries with your cart as you pass through these areas. And Dunfion is nothing like any human fort you've ever seen before. It's not some stone keep emerging from the hillside. It is basically built into the hillside, a telltale sign that this is not originally a human construction. It's a large mound with rocks along it and various parapets and holes in this great hill that can see the entire surrounding area, because this land is very flat and this hill is about 300 feet tall. And as you approach one of the basically large looming mouths of this hillside, a small human group will emerge. At their head is a knight. He's burly and massive. He's 6'5", hundreds of pounds, wrapped up in plate armor, just a beast of a man, and followed by several other foot soldiers. Again, professional soldiers based on how they're dressed. The knight has a large tabard on his chest that depicts a black bull stamping its hooves on a corpse. And he'll walk on foot to your carriage, and as it slows, he'll look at you and say, "What are you doing here?"
We were hoping to meet with Sir Roland Dumash.
Your merchant's charter.
Is that just like an inventory of everything?
No, it's the writ. The writ.
Oh, then yeah, I'll hand it over.
Yeah. You've handed this over to a variety of different people, to magistrates in Luvenza that were scamming you, to guards that looked at it and clearly had no idea what they were looking at. He gives this a critical eye. Like, he takes his gauntlet off and attempts to smudge the thing to see if it's, like, freshly done. He, like, lightly tests the paper to see if it's, like, thin construction and will fall apart. But he seems satisfied with it and hands it back to you and says, "And now his."
He doesn't have one. It's my apprentice.
How long have you known him?
I've known him most of my life as family, but in terms of knowing him super well, not maybe a few months.
Roll a deception check.
This one.
He nods and says, "All right, lift up the tarp."
She'll go back to the back of the cart and lift it up.
Yeah. He hops up onto the lip and takes a look inside. Do you already have a client signed up for these?
Yes.
Do you have a contract?
We do not. I was hoping to negotiate once we got there.
He opens up one of the barrels and looks at the dozens and dozens of crossbow bolts inside. Uh-huh. He looks at the 5 men that are kind of lingering a couple of feet away and says, "We're impounding the carriage. You two, you're coming with me into the fort.
May I ask why?
You're being held under suspicion of supplying the Bloodfoots."
Well, I guess she doesn't have much choice but to follow.
He hops off the cart and his armor clanks. The men don't, when they say impound, it's not like destroy it or whatever. They just get up into the driver's seat as the two of you are gestured off, and they begin to guide the carriage into the fort. The heavy-set knight begins to guide you past it, and this fort would just be nightmares to take. I mean, it's built into a hillside. There's murder holes everywhere. This entryway would just be like a slaughter fest. You're not really sure how humans even took it in the first place. But after he opens up one of these gates, the interior of this hill has been almost entirely hollowed out and replaced with stone supports to keep the whole thing from collapsing in on itself. Every room in this fort is connected to this large central cavern. You don't see a single halfling, and he will guide you not towards the upper level, which has like banners hanging from it and looks to be like quarters for the people staying here, but towards a room which has like a stone window in it, and you can see another knight inside of there. That knight looks a bit older. He'll guide the two of you and say, "Well, you said you came here to see Sir Roland."
Yes.
All right, let's see if he knows about it. And he steps inside of the room and gestures for the two of you to follow him inside.
Follow.
I'll follow in, yeah.
The knight that guided you in here and the man behind the desk have an incredible resemblance. They're definitely related in some way. And the man behind the desk is basically as broad, but he has a bit of white streaks running through his beard, and his hair is a bit longer. And the knight who guided you here says, "Uncle, were we supposed to be expecting a merchant filled with, cargo of weapons?" And the knight stands, his armor kind of clanking as he does so. "Are you Sophia Turner?"
That I am.
Does she have a merchant writ to prove it?" And the knight next to you nods. He says, "Well then. Tonight you'll probably have to sleep here in the fort, but I'm to escort you to Glenfair tomorrow."
Understandable.
And, Eustace, make sure that no one takes anything from the merchant's cart. They're under the protection of the Baron. And he nods. He clearly doesn't like that idea, but nods nonetheless. And,
Eric?
Yeah?
Do these guys seem to like the Baron, or are they, like, reluctant?
Reluctant.
Okay.
The, Sir Roland will step out from behind the desk and gesture for the two of you to follow him and says, "You have to forgive our paranoia. There's very few merchants carrying weapons with good intentions in the baronies."
Trust me, I understand. No harm, no foul.
I'm
What
sure
are the type of people that you get coming through here?
mostly smugglers who we captured trying to avoid Dunfian or Cadmore, and we bring them here. Not to mention local halflings who are attempting to smuggle outside goods into the baronies without being caught, Neftaran merchants wandering in from the desert trying to supply them. It's almost exclusively cads and rakes.
Has there been an uptick lately?
Rakes.
Certainly has. Most merchants don't go the way over here when they've heard of what have happened to other merchants. The Bloodfoot's appetite for human flesh.
That's why we reached out ahead of time, thankfully.
Thankfully.
These Bloodfoots, I don't know much about them.
First time in the baronies, then.
Yeah.
It's first time, yes.
He's guiding you guys towards the second level as he talks. They're a group of halflings, bandits, nothing more. They kill tax collectors, they strong-arm local barons. They wish for the days of halfling independence once again. Led by a former archmage of King Mathys.
A human.
No, a halfling.
Eric's would I know who this archmagus is.
Is there a reason why you'd be acquainted with the archmages of Estenia?
I live in Estenia and I'm well read.
I guess that's true. Roll an Arcana check. Yeah, you are familiar with Archmage Cucumber. It's a very silly little name, but yeah, he was one of two Archmages of Estenia. The first was the Archmage of Estenia proper, named Alubrius. After the king's death, he left the kingdom entirely. The second was Archmage Cucumber, who was formerly the Archmage of Hampshire and hired on by King Mathys as a sort of secondary magical advisor. You hadn't heard much of him after the death of King Mathys, but now you know why. Because he's leading a terrorist organization. And Roland will pause in front of a wooden door here on the second level and says, "This will be yours for tonight. If you need something, just
basically shout for one of the guards, they'll fetch it for you. We're under a strict curfew for visitors.
I understand.
Yes. So we're not supposed to leave this room.
No.
Yes.
He'll open up the door, and this is a halfling-sized room, as is, the entire fort. So it's going to be a very tight fit for two adult... I mean, there are two beds, but they're halfling-sized beds, so it's going to be a very tight fit for two adult humans.
I'm also tall.
Yeah. Unlucky. And Roland will say, tomorrow morning at dawn, we'll be headed out to Glenfair. I'm pulling together a patrol. The route from Dunfian to Glenfair is one of the most frequently attacked. If you heard about the tax collector incident, that happened on the same road.
Well, then we are very appreciative for your protection.
What is this tax collector incident?
3 tax collectors sent by the Duke, strung up and lynched by the roadside. Now, you should get some rest. We'll be waking up early. And Roland will descend the stairs, trusting you to go into the room and not violate any other rules.
There like a window in here at all?
Nope. It's a stone coffin that's about 10 feet long, 4 feet wide, 2 beds on opposite sides. There is no other furniture inside.
Huh.
Looks a lot like a jail cell. So are you guys sprawling out, flopping down? What's the plan?
It sounds like we're just relaxing in the room and going to bed.
Okay. Well, as you lay down, your feet, basically up to your knees, dangle over the bottom of the bed.
We'll live.
Well, well, for Anatoly, it's even worse. But yeah, you just kind of like curl up on it. The bed squeaks with like a rustling noise because it's made out of straw. So literally, the slightest movement makes the whole thing like rustle and kind of like bend a little bit.
I'll just sleep underground.
Well, the stone floor, it's nice and cool.
I have a bedroll, it looks like.
Okay, yeah, you can spread a bedroll across the floor and just sleep under the bed on the stone. Yeah, that works. I think, Sophia, you're probably the first one to be able to drift off. And Anatoly, it's been like 30 minutes. This is a very uncomfortable and weird place. And very distantly, muffled through who knows how many layers of stone, you think that you hear a scream.
A scream?
Yeah.
What kind of scream?
High-pitched, childlike.
A cool.
Halfling or human scream?
Well, considering you've only seen halflings from a distance and never heard them speak, childlike is my full answer.
I'm gonna yell out the door. What is that?
No reply comes.
Could be terrorists. Could be a torture victim.
You hear on the walkway outside of the room you're in, you hear like the wood compresses and the door opens up slightly. There's a very tired looking young man, maybe 19 or 20, says, what was that?
What was that? I heard screaming.
It's just prisoners. Don't worry about it.
Prisoner. I wanted to
Closes the
make
door.
sure. Eric's, how many people were there on like the walk-in? How many like humans here?
So because there's that like single central room and then all the attached rooms, you actually got a pretty good gauge of how big the entire garrison is. It's probably around 80 humans inside.
All right. Keep in mind, I have keen mind too.
Okay.
You finally managed to get some sleep. Whoever was screaming I was about to say decides to stop, but just does stop. The screaming cuts off, and eventually you fall asleep. It's not the most restful sleep you've ever gotten. I would say it's actually quite bad. The floor is uncomfortable. There's weird noises outside. At before the sun even rises, people start training inside the cavern, and every single time they hit the practice dummy, it sends this clacking noise that echoes throughout the central chamber, which is very audible from the room you're sleeping in. This is clearly not the conditions that the garrison sleeps under. There's just no way that they're sleeping like this. So before the sun even rises and before there's even a knock at your door, both of you are completely awake from the sound of early morning practice. And there's a light knock at your door, and you hear kind of a gravelly voice say, "Wake up!"
I will wake up.
Yeah, you're both, are awake anyways. And the door will open up, and a fully equipped soldier of the garrison will say, "Your carriage is at the eastern entrance."
We head there now.
Yes. And he opens up the door fully and kind of steps back so you can squeeze past him.
I'll squeeze past him.
Yeah, up here on the balcony, like I said, you can see the entire central chamber of the fort, including the 3 gates. The eastern gate, you can see a patrol of about 8 mounted knights. About all of them are in plate. You see Roland, you see the one that initially brought you into the fort. There's a couple of other mounted soldiers just carrying crossbows and other sort of ranged weapons. In total, your escort's about 12 men. And in the center is your cart. The tarp is removed, so its contents is fully visible. And the 2 horses are looking good. Gallant has a nice little brushed mane.
I'll go ahead and start just kind of mounting up, preparing everything to go.
Yeah, you head on down. You climb up into the saddle, or I guess the driving area of the driver's seat. There we go. Jesus Christ. You step up into the driving seat of the carriage, and as you do so, Roland will kind of turn his horse about gently and say, "All right, if I ever say stop the cart immediately. If for whatever reason I stop my horse, stop yours as well. If I say run, you get off the horse, you get off the carriage, you leave everything else behind, and you run. Understood?"
She'll nod and say, "We're at your command, sir."
Good. And some of the men kind of hype themselves up, some lower down their helmets. Everyone has their own kind of routine to get ready. It's as if they're about to walk out onto a battlefield. And then eventually Roland, gestures with his hand, and the gate opens up, gets pushed open. The countryside is shockingly idyllic in comparison to how hyped he was getting. He was preparing to walk out into a battlefield, and what you see is just kind of from this position on the side of the hill, you just see rolling countryside of little halfling villages dotting. There is no great foe waiting for you.
As we start to travel and it doesn't seem like anything's immediately happening, I think she'll strike up a conversation and just say, "Were you expecting anything or any trouble on this trip?"
As I said, it's the most dangerous road in all the baronies. Don't count yourself out yet.
How many prisoners do you have in that fort we just left from?
He kind of narrows his eyes. Why do you want to know?
I'm curious how much trouble you get out here.
Lots.
Do you say it's a guarantee that we're ambushed on this
No,
trip?
it's not a guarantee, and since I managed to get together all the knights of the garrison, I'd say it's unlikely. They're still a bit hurt from a skirmish a couple of days ago. We managed to capture 8 of them.
We're in your care.
His eyes and the other knights watch the surrounding, so this is not flat countryside as much anymore. This starts to be rolling hills of rather considerable size in some places. So you're kind of walking through the valleys of these rolling hills, and there's lots of trees dotting the area, and they watch these surrounding terrains with a deep level of paranoia. Every little pebble, every tree that's big enough to obscure a halfling, which is almost all trees, everything they watch carefully. And Roland will kind of murmur, "It's not just halflings either. There's humans that have joined the Bloodfoots. Traitorous bastards."
Really? How many?
Only a couple. A couple of weeks ago, there was one that was a damned good fighter. Killed 2 knights before we captured him.
we learn their motive for doing so.
I think they're carrying out justice. Some of them do it for the money, but we've only captured 2 mercenaries stupid enough to take those contracts.
Right. And Sophia will also be actively, like, looking around, trying to see if, in case they miss anything.
Yeah, roll me a perception check. Yeah, so last time you were here, you just traveled through the countryside relatively chill. I mean, you were not being escorted, but you also didn't fear for your safety that much, and most halflings just ignored you. They weren't hostile towards you. But something about their level of fear, it kind of is contagious, and you find yourself also looking at every little shrub and bush, because a halfling could fit in there. They're real small little guys. And
my assumption's probably that whenever I came, the tensions were a lot lower.
They were indeed a lot lower, yeah. And as yeah?
Another thing I wanted to say to that guy,
Sure.
Do you know what inspired those men who joined the halflings? Why? What motivated them?
They thought they were carrying out justice.
I'd spoken to a member of the healing tree back in the hamlets, and he seemed very sympathetic to the halflings, but as I understand, they don't fight.
No, there's not been any members of any religious orders captured thus far, just madmen and mercenaries. It's a difficult thing. The Castellan is unsure what to charge them with, as most of them weren't actually caught doing anything illegal, but it's obvious from where they were associated with the Bloodfoots.
What do you mean?
There's bars, villages, things like that, known to be allied with them. You can't prove it, but we all know. And if you find a human in a bar like that, and they have no good reason to be there other than their association, it's an obvious thing. We arrest them, hold them, eventually we'll find something to charge them with.
Is it not considered treason of some type?
If you can prove that they were with them, but we can't afford zones of truth. We don't have many paladins in our garrison, and there is the difficult matter that technically the baronies are independent.
You can't get any paladins or clerics out here to cast Zone of Truth?
Haven't been able to yet.
Are there requests you can put in for such thing?
Oh, we have. The Order of the Flaming Sword is dragging their feet. Cowards.
I thought we saw a member of the Order of the Flaming Sword on our way in.
Ah, Inquisitor de Sangriel. Yes. Unfortunately, he limits himself to the halflings. Doesn't think that any humans would actually join the Bloodfoots.
I see, so he doesn't believe it's worth it to interrogate them. What does he think they were here for?
Tourists, essentially. Tourists of the downfall of the last halflings.
How often do you get merchants like ourselves coming through?
You're the first in 2 months. Well, the first legitimate merchants, anyways. Every couple of days, there's some merchant who tries to wander into the baronies, sell to the locals, but it's obvious why they're actually here.
Yes, I see.
Roland remains near to your cart, but slowly your escort starts to space out a bit more, and there's 2 knights at the far back, 2 knights at the front. There's a village ahead, but you guys intentionally take a path around it and avoid it. And one of the other knights kind of rides over to Roland and says something to him in hushed tones, and then Roland kind of stops the caravan. He says, "We're going to wait here. Apparently one of the knights has spotted something up ahead. He'd like to check out more thoroughly."
She'll just nod and stop as well, and she will be extra perceptive and kind of be on the lookout.
Yeah, 4 of your 8 knights kind of ride up ahead and go around a bend, and Roland kind of stands up in his stirrups looking at the surrounding trees, bushes, and things like that.
Wherever Roland's not looking is where I'll try to look.
Yeah. You hear
I
the
am
sound
lost
of
in
birds.
shot.
Yeah. And eventually, the 4 knights will return back from around the corner, and they seem to have found nothing. They don't look out of breath or anything like that, and they give a nod to Roland, and he gestures for you to continue, and your very slow traversal of the halfling countryside continues. You're taking circuitous routes, you're avoiding valleys that would easily be ambushed, you're aiming for wide open areas whenever possible. All of this slows your speed very considerably. And you don't spot a single halfling, because again, you're taking such wide paths around what limited villages there are, you just don't see any of them. Roland occasionally will chat, since he's the closest to your cart, and some of the other knights talk with each other, but there's this high level of paranoia persisting throughout this group. And eventually, you get to a crossroads. There's a little sign here, one of which points towards a town called Enordolin, another one which points towards a town called Glenfair, and the one that you're on points back to Dunfion. And here, there is a body hanging from one of the signposts. It's clearly a halfling. There's a rope around its neck, and on its chest, it simply reads traitor, holding a little sign. It's been nailed to the chest.
Based.
And Roland will guide you towards Glenfair, and as the cart slowly rolls past Anatolia, you get a good look at this traitor. He's a halfling, 3'6" maybe, torn up tunic, just completely ruined, trousers torn as well, feet covered in dirt, hands all gritty and muddy, eyes completely, blank and hollow, blood spilling from his mouth. The wound that killed him was a head blow. It's a grim thing to see this up close, and it's still remarkably childlike. All halflings seem to be, to you at least.
And it doesn't seem to be any halfling I recognize.
No. And you continue to pass along these. Yeah?
I'll ask Homeboy, they attack other halflings too.
He nods. Their only resistance is to, well, as I said, they're bandits. They'll steal from other halflings to get what they need. They'll attack local barons. We're going to Glenfair, as your master pointed out, and even the Baron of Glenfair has had his life threatened before.
Are they popular amongst most of the halflings?
He shrugs. Eventually, the small, narrow path you're on opens up and a valley spreads beneath you. This town looks the same as all the other little ones you've passed through, except it has a large stone structure. It's almost like a castle, but more like square-shaped, and you can see a small human garrison there. They flutter the flag of the Duke of Luvenza. And Roland will kind of pick up the pace. He'll go ahead of the rest of your escort to that little stone structure, which is clearly some sort of like prison, because it's not like it's being inhabited like a fortress. It's largely dedicated to this. And Roland's son, who you never got the name of, will replace his position. He'll be the one at the side of the driver's side of the carriage, and he'll say, "We'll continue on to the Baron's house, but half of our escort is going to stay here at the Glenfair prison."
You have a whole nother prison out here.
Built at the Baron's expense. The halflings are superstitious when it comes to executions. It results in very long holding times.
What do you mean?
Before we arrived in the Crusade, they clung to their pagan gods, while officially outside of Hampshire, they all worship the Jade Lady.
Anytime you try to execute someone under Jade Lady processes, they lose their mind. You get riots even amongst the common people. They prefer their bodies to be placed out and pecked away by creatures, a barbaric practice. It makes executions painful. It's cheaper to store them in a prison cell and starve them to death. And you are led to a large halfling home. It's a burrow built into a little hill. It's all built to halfling sizes, though the entryway is big enough to accommodate a human. Basically, your whole escort, except for this young man, kind of leave, but the son of Roland hops off his horse, guides it to a post and ties it up. He gestures to you to kind of like an open patch of grass where you can pull your cart to. And he walks to the door, knocks it. A halfling emerges. The two of them converse a little bit. And within a couple of moments, as you guys are still in the process of like tying up your horses and the like, a halfling emerges from the building. He looks very nervous. He's 3.5 feet tall. He has brown hair. He has these large mutton chops on his cheek, and he walks over to you, Sophia, as you're tying up Gallant, and he says, in relatively unaccented common, "Greetings. It's good to see you again, Sophia."
I assume I recognize this as Parsnip.
Indeed.
And to you as well.
I'm assuming your journey here from Fiordanzo was without incident?
Thankfully, yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, he walks out over towards the other knight and says, "Thank you, Eustace. You can go and join your father now. I'm sure that he'll need some help with that prison transfer." And the knight nods and gets back up on his horse and begins to ride away, and he'll gesture, "Who's this, other fellow with you?"
He'll just kind of gesture for him to introduce himself.
My name is Wallace. A relative of hers looking to take merchant trade.
All right then. Well, let's head on inside. We can discuss that cargo of yours. I think I saw a couple of crossbows in there, didn't I?
You did. You have a good eye.
Good, good. And he'll step inside the entryway. It's the only area where you don't need to stoop your heads. This entry hall is big enough to accommodate a full-sized human. He'll walk through a narrow, like a 3-foot-tall entrance into another, or 4-foot-tall entrance into another room, which you do have to considerably stoop, like almost crouch to get through. This dining room has human chairs. Clearly he's used to accommodating human guests, but he sits in a halfling-sized one at the head of the table. Slowly, servants begin to bring in basically a cornucopia of various things, mostly fruits and vegetables, no meats or breads or anything like that. And he'll say, "Well, please, I'm sure you've had a difficult journey. It's dangerous times in the baronies as of lately. Only my barony has avoided the stench of death which hangs over the rest of them."
Oh, and how have you been able to do so?
By working with the Duke of Luvenza. He's a very generous patron.
Do the other halflings know?
Well, of course.
Has that not caused any danger for you?
Oh, it has. But one can't let the fear and xenophobia of a couple of bandits prevent good business. If possible, I'd make Glenfair the center of commerce in Hampshire, but those bastard Bloodfoots want to prevent that from happening. I'm sure you heard about those tax collectors. One of them was coming to Glenfair. I already had the chest ready for him to collect tax on, but poor bastard was strung up.
So we've heard.
But we shouldn't linger on that. The harvest, since you've been gone, the harvest was excellent, as you can see based on the size of those gourds there. And, New Praton is finally starting to get its feet under itself. The Western Bastion was rebuilt recently. They're getting close to refixing the clock tower. I hear that by the end of the year it should start chiming again.
Sounds like most things are going well then.
Other than the ramblings of the extremists and the violent acts they carry out, things are going excellent. And the garrisons have increased. Cadmore Heniot, I think, is up to a couple of hundred men. I think once we get past this current tide of violence, the baronies will be better off than they've been since before the Crusade.
That is great news to hear.
Yes, and we've cash to purchase your arms. Do you want to talk about business first, or...?
Let's catch up a little bit first. Haven't seen you in a while.
It has been a bit. I heard a fell rumor that you'd come upon hard times, but you look well enough off to me.
Rumors are indeed true, but everything is working towards the better.
They didn't say much. It was that merchant in your guild, Ornald or Orbald. He's talking about a man in your guild named Garibald. He's not a big fan of you, though you didn't know he was trading with halflings. He says all that he said was that you'd lost a bunch of money. How'd that happen?
I had what I thought was, well, I still think it is, good information on Mithril Spike, and unfortunately the market crashed.
Ah, mithril speculation. Dangerous game. I had a merchant a couple of months ago try to convince me to invest in not exactly the same, but something related to the pricing of red metal. If it hadn't been for the advice of some better fellows, I think my barony would be impoverished at the moment. It's tempting to try to make back a 20 times return on a small investment.
That it is.
He looks more stressed than the last time you were here. He has these lines on his forehead. He's kind of like even nervous sitting at this table. While he may say he's not particularly worried about the Bloodfoots, that much is clearly not true. Though how much they live in his brain, you can't quite tell. And he'll move on to other facts. He'll, show off the crops that have been grown in Glenfair since you last saw him. And he'll say, so, once you've sold your supplies here, where are you headed next?
If we still have anything left over, then it's to Hampshire to sell off the remaining.
New Perton. That's what the Dukes renamed it.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I'm sure you'll find people to buy it, but you'll need to be very careful. I recommend selling them to the Castellan. If you sell it to any halfling, there's a good chance your stock will end up in the hand of those Bloodfoots.
Castellan, you said?
Yes, the Castellan. He's been appointed by the Duke to oversee the interests of humans in the city. He's brought with him a small garrison.
Oh. Do you have a letter of recommendation or anything?
I don't at the moment, but I can get you one. I'll even speak to Roland and any of the other knights to see if we can get you an escort. It's only a couple of miles from here, as you know, but it's still not exactly safe. In fact, a couple of weeks back, there's this garrison tower between here and Hampshire. It's garrisoned only by a couple of soldiers at a time, and it was under attack by the Bloodfoots, a human among them, no less. I'm not sure if you've heard, but there's even foolish men who have gone to their side. And there's this big battle, this skirmish, and it was grisly. 4 dead humans, 2 knights among them, and only one of the Bloodfoots captured. Grim thing.
Yes. We heard about this human.
Yes.
Do you have any reason why they're defecting?
Well, I'm sure that Roland could give you a better answer. Here in Glenfair, we've only captured one of them. He's a real piece of work. Half insane, believes that what we're doing is wrong. Even under torture, he continued to say that it's evil for the halflings to be treated so. It's bizarre to have a human speak on my behalf when I'm perfectly fine with this state of affairs.
What do you know of him?
He says he's from Astenia, but I'm not convinced. I think he's from Bratellia. I think he's even lying about his name, but apparently there's no zones of truth to spare, so we can't get the truth out of his lips.
Why do you think he's from Bratellia? Does he have an accent?
A little bit. Roland said that he sounds like he's from West Exeter, but
Obviously, I wouldn't know.
Eric's West Exeter was that. That was one of the human ones, right?
Yeah, it's it's half human, half elven. It's the easternmost Bertellian kingdom. So, what made you want to become a merchant apprentice, especially on such a dangerous route?
Yes, well, I was injured in my previous line of work, and it was becoming a hardship on my body, so my Sophia here offered to take me under her wing. It seemed like a much more interesting life.
When you meet with a castellan, you should ask him for a remit to carry weapons. Even if you don't know how to use them, having something on you should be able to keep, common rakes away.
Eric, does he not see, like, the daggers and crossbows on me?
He probably, the crossbow would probably be outside, but the dagger, no, he wouldn't notice that.
I see. Yes.
A spear, or maybe even a sword. If you had a sword on you, they'd think you know how to use it.
Yes, that may be worth it.
And you too, Sophia. These Bloodfoots, they've really just inspired all sorts of terrible things. It's good to stay well equipped.
I assume a dagger's not enough to deter him.
No. If they even see it. Let's go, get this business dealt with, and then I can share some wine that we harvested from the grapes last season. They came out excellent.
Chill none.
And he'll walk with you back out to the cart. He'll pull over a little crate and hop up onto it and look at the back of the cart. Since he commands a relatively small territory, he takes a pretty active role in most of the purchasings. Like in the past, he's been the only person you've dealt with. He doesn't give it to like a castellan or some other person as an intermediary. So he'll squint at the back of your cart and say, "Oh, that's quite a bit of spears and not a lot of armor. Though I guess that's human-sized armor anyways." Well...
Yeah, we assumed most of it would not work for you all.
No, you'll have to save that... I'm sure the castellan in Hampshire, New Breton, I have to correct myself. I'm sure the castellan in New Breton will buy those, but I can purchase the short spears. Crossbows are always a big boon. Oh, you've cloth. Have you entered the textile business?
We heard that you all might be in dire need of some, so we made sure to purchase some on our way over.
You'd be right on that. Wool merchants have been giving us a wide berth ever since those Bloodfoots started killing people.
We're happy to fill that role.
He gestures towards Anatoly. Why don't you use those lady-granted big arms of yours and carry in that cloth? I'll purchase the lot of it. The short spears, the crossbows, I'll take the bolts as well.
No use for the chain armor, I assume?
It's too big.
Understandable.
You're buying all of the cloth, you said.
Oh, yes. Yes. Normally, in the winter, we'd have wool merchants coming in from the outside. You see, we don't have as much arable land to raise sheep and cows, other things like that. But with the arrests and the killings and all of it, it's just most merchants steer clear. Well, pricing. In truth, I'm not very familiar with the market rates of most of these things. I could go fetch local merchants, but if you tell me what price you'd like for the whole lot of it, I'm willing to entertain it.
Give me a moment. I will have to add it all up.
All right. Anatoly, you begin to pick up the bolts of cloth from the back of the cart, the short spears, the light crossbows. One of the Baron's servants, another halfling, comes in to try to help you, but his carry capacity is about 20 pounds, which is like 3 crossbows. So it's mostly you doing most of the carry. Like, he can only carry like 3 pounds of cloth at a time. Or sorry, 30 pounds of cloth at a time, which is a fraction of how much you need to carry. But the Baron...
Keep in mind, I'm borderline crippled when
Oh.
it comes to strength.
Well, then you and him have similar carrying capacities. And yeah, the Baron will look through his abacus alongside you, Sophia, tallying together
I'm
the
gonna be able
costs.
to give just the numbers that I want, and then you can add them up.
Sure.
For spears, or for the normal spears, not the short spears.
He wants the short
let's-
spears, not the spears.
Oh, not the normal ones. Okay.
Yeah, just the
Then
short.
let's do 500 pence
What?
per short spear.
Do I get a chance to talk to Sophia with that homeboy around?
Probably after they're done with the transaction, yeah. If it's
Tragic.
urgent, you could pull her away.
Nah.
Okay.
That'd be too obvious. He calculates. Can I talk to the little guy?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll take like 4 or 5 trips, so you'll have plenty of time to talk. He's a short halfling. Yeah, you can never tell how fucking old these things are. He has the startings of like literally like 3 hairs on his upper lip, and then other than that, he has this tight, curly brown hair.
Alright. Seems young if he's got the tween stash. I heard something about a prisoner transfer. Why risk taking them through the open roads?
Oh. Well, it's just, there's a lot of tension here in Glenfair lately. Lots of whispers and spotting people up in the hills, and it's just getting real scary. Dangerous, perhaps, and I think the Baron's worried that they're going to attack us. So we're sending off all the important prisoners.
Who are the important prisoners?
Oh, the Bloodfoots. The drunkards and stuff, they can stay.
Yes, I see. They're up in the hills, you said. You can see them looking down.
That's what people say. The shepherds and the like, they say that they think that the Bloodfoots are all around us. I mean, I've never seen one, but...
He shrugs.
They've never tried to contact you.
Me?
No, certainly not.
You work in the castle, don't you? It seems like they would want someone like you.
Maybe, but I'm no Bloodfoot. I just want to make a good living, like the Baron.
Yes.
I mean, there are advantages to working with you tall folk. The Baron was just an innsman. He owned an inn in Hampshire before the Crusade. Now he's a Baron.
Yes. Suppose it is profitable.
Well, it's not just that. It's, I don't know how much you know about Hampshire before the Crusade, but it was a rough place. Everyone had to fight all the time. We always were buying muskets from the Alceranians at exorbitant prices. Taxes were high. It was a rough place to live. But now we can do commerce. There's competition. There's no mandatory service anymore. It's better as far as I can see it.
Yes. More peaceful.
Well, maybe not that.
Did you say you wanted the halberds as well, or no?
Nah, too big.
Then I've marked under the sold for column all the prices I want to do for everything.
Alrighty. I don't see the cloth pricing.
Oh, did not update it.
Ah, there it is. You have to exit the cell before it updates the price.
Yep.
Okay. At this point, you've basically been conditioned by everything that you're supposed to haggle, but when you state your price of 39 gold, he just nods and says, "All right then, I'll go fetch payment." And he'll hop off the little crate, he'll head inside, and as you're helping Anatoly carry the last wave of stuff into the, basically hallway of the Baron's home, the Baron will drop a bag of coins into your hand, Sophia.
I'll accept.
There's 40 gold inside,
Yippee!
which is a gold more than you asked for.
Let's go.
And the Baron will say, "Well, as you know, there's not many inns that could fit you, so if you like, you could spend the night here."
Oh, it would be much appreciated. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it'll be a bit tight, but I think you'll survive. You could also sleep in your cart if you like.
No, that's all right. We'll take you up on that offer.
All right, then. And,
Are we free to wander about the town still?
you can. I'd recommend not leaving the bounds of the village, though. There's been bloodfoot spotted up in the hills, and they wouldn't hesitate to kill a lone human wandering around. But if you stick within the town proper, within sight of my home or the prison, you should be fine.
But I can go to the prison myself.
He shrugs.
Yeah.
And he'll kind of
Hopefully they
gesture
don't
to
throw
you,
me
so
in a cell.
he'll say, "Oh, you'll be fine." And then he'll gesture towards Sophia and say, "Well, we have this new wine that we harvested last fall while you were away,
Oh?
if you'd like to see. It
I
has
would
a
very much
floral
like to.
bouquet to it."
Lead the way.
And as the Baron and Sophia head back into the dining room, Anatoly, where are you headed?
To the prison.
Not wrong. I am going to walk around town a bit. Definitely hit up the prison, yeah.
Sure. You walk out of the Baron's home and begin to walk around, and the halflings here are different. I wouldn't so much say that they are friendly, like they're not seeking out your company, but they don't like literally run away when you're in the area, which is a start.
Was that happening in the little villages we went through?
Yeah, they would move away from your cart as you approached. Some of them will linger and look at you. They're clearly a lot more used to human contact in a non-violent sense. All the houses here are tiny, obviously. There's a couple of buildings here that have, like, similar to the Baron's home, though, there's, like, limited accommodations for humans. Like, there's a local bar. The entryway is big enough to fit a human, and you can see one or two oversized chairs amidst a room that's mostly meant for halflings. As for the prison, it has like a palisade wall, like a wooden wall around it, which you can see a couple of guards standing on, and then a stone structure in the center. At present, there's only 2 guards on the outer palisade. You're not sure where the knights and the rest of them went. And none of the townsfolk approach you, but you can get a good little eye. There's probably 800, 900 people in this little village, not particularly large.
Let's see. Are there churches either for the lady or the little halfling religion?
There is no halfling religion shrines or anything like that. There is a tiny, tiny little shrine, halfling-sized shrine to the Jade Lady. So the
But
ceiling
not
is
very low.
like, the top of the building is like 10 feet, which I guess is still pretty tall, but the entryway is about 4 feet high.
None of their local little animist stuff.
No. Conspicuously absent. You also see what they mean by the hills. This little village is in a kind of caldera between 4 separate hills. The hills are quite tall, especially compared to the halflings. I mean, these are 150-foot hills at like the ridges of them. So it kind of makes sense that you would be paranoid that people are up on these ridges looking down at the village. And the road that you guys took into the village was through like the gap of one of these ridges. So they're kind of surrounded on all sides by wilderness.
What other notable stuff is about town?
Well, there's a little bit of terrace farming going on. There's the southern road, which leads to Hampshire. It's the opposite direction of the one that you came from. It's a little cobbled road. There is also a couple of, up on like the ridges, you can see little hunter shacks. At present, they seem to be occupied. Those are probably the people who've been spotting the Bloodfoots. Beyond that, it's a pretty sparse little village. The 2 most like central structures are the Baron's home and the prison.
Alright, sounds like I'm going to check out the prison then.
Sure. You approach the palisades. There's 2 guards on duty. One of them will just kind of lean forward. He's wearing a kettle helmet. There's like a 3-foot like height difference between you because he's up on the palisade wall.
But this is a human?
Yeah, this is a human. Yeah.
I was told I could wander about the premises.
Not in the prison, you can't.
The Baron said I could wander about the prison.
You were with Sir Roland, right?
Yes.
I'll go ask him.
Yes, alright.
He descends down from the palisade wall, and the other guard will just kind of lean against the wall a bit lazily.
So, was that your, the other woman on the carriage? That's your wife or something?
A cousin. You can tell from the red hair.
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Shithole.
That's its name or description?
Description. Little town called Harlecchio.
Do I know anything about that, Eric?
I think it's not one of the villages you pass by on your way here, and there are a myriad of tiny little villages which speckle Estenia.
Yes, I can't say I've heard of it.
I don't blame you. We used to have a horse corral. That was our town's big achievement, but got burned down during Mathys' war.
Ah, yes. Were you here during the Crusades?
But no, I was 15 at the time.
Ah, yes.
He doesn't look older than like 19.
I see, yeah. What did you think when you got assigned to Hampshire? Or New Britain?
They pay damn well. That's what I thought. 5 gold a week.
Really?
Oh, yes.
What's
If you
the
weren't a gimp,
casualty
then I'd
rate?
recommend you take the job.
Yes, yes. It's quite the payment. What's your casualty rate?
Oh, it's low. I mean, we lose folks here and there, but the knights take the majority of the brunt since they're always running on horseback into the middle of a throng of bloodfoots.
Yes.
And I mean, the halflings are stupid, but they're not stupid enough to attack a fortified position.
I've heard there's worried they're going to try.
Sure, the halflings around the village are worried, but
Not
they're
yourself.
halflings.
Yes. They're odd, aren't they? I'd never seen any before coming here this time.
Nor had I. I had sort of expected them to be more magical, all those stories about their feet and the like.
Yes, I heard their feet are magical. They
Well,
don't seem
I haven't
very
seen it.
Has there been anything interesting as of late? Besides that tax collector thing.
Yeah, I mean, last week there was those tax collectors. A couple weeks back, just south of here, a mile or two, there was a watchtower that got attacked. There was a human amongst the bloodfoots. That was interesting.
Yes, I'd heard about that.
That's about it. I mean, the halflings are scared, of course, but, it's a pretty easy job. The worst
Did
part
you
is the
even
retributions.
The retributions.
No, yeah, it's a policy by the Duke. For every man in the garrison that dies, we hang 10 halflings.
Bloodfeet or any halfling?
Any halfling. That's always a bit rough.
Yes. Did you even have shackles for this human? Or are they all halfling size?
No, we had to use ropes. In fact, he's still held with ropes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's the point? We're just waiting for him to starve to death. Them halfling traditions.
That's the goal. I see. Eric's, how long ago did he say that he was captured?
2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's not much longer, do you say he has left?
For any normal man, I'd say they should be dead by now. He wasn't exactly fat when we got him, but he's still alive. Cracked lips and all.
He's here or at one of the other facilities?
Oh, he's here. He's here. No, I've heard they got humans at some of the other, at Dunfion and Cadmore, Henion, but, well, haven't been there.
Really? Even more humans joining with the halflings?
Yeah? I suppose men will do crazy things for coin.
Yes. You're sure he's not? I'd spoken to some of the, healing tree priests while I was on my way to Hampshire, and they seemed very sympathetic to the halflings.
Sure they are. It's because they fell out of favor.
After Mathys.
Exactly. You know, everyone calls him the Good King, but I'm not exactly sure what good he all did. Fought a war, burned down our damn corral, and then he died.
Yes, I imagine he's more popular among the halflings than among the humans.
You heard the name they call him.
What was it?
Xavier.
Savior.
And around this time, the other guard walks over and climbs back up onto the parapet and says, Sir Roland says no visitors to the prison. Was there something in specific you wanted?
No, I was just looking for things to do about town, and the Baron suggested this.
Ah. There is a bar. It's got a couple human-sized chairs. Plus, they let humans drink for free.
Really? By choice?
I don't know. Maybe Sir Roland put some fear in him, but the deal was worked out.
Well, thank you for the advice.
He gives a nod.
Eric's, what does the prison look like?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit more of an in-depth sketch on this here homepage. So, bing bong bing boom boom, bing, boom boom, bing bing,
Ding, ding, ding,
ding ding ding, doing doing. Okay, I'm ready. Yeah, so the village, as I mentioned before, is between these. I'll use dark green to mark the hills. Is that a good color on this? This is a terrible color on this. Let's use bright purple. There we go. Yeah, the village is between these like large hillsides. It's not exactly even like this, but it's something like this. Then the road to Hampshire is this yellow thing that goes southward. The road back to Dunfion goes like this. And then the village kind of like sprawls around it in sort of like this type of shape. The prison is located on the Dunfion side of the city. I'll use blue for that, and it's over here. So now we'll do a more... Oh, my mouse. That's cringe. I'll do a more zoomed-in view of the prison on the right here. So it's this outer palisade, kind of shaped like this, little palisade gate here. Then there's a very large courtyard on the left-hand side, and then on the right is the actual stone structure itself, which is more like square-shaped. And it's kind of like that. So over on the north side, you have a lot of places to like tie up horses. On the south side, you have like an open yard. And then on the right is where the stone building is. So like horse posts, like large training area, or not so much training area, just like open yard with a fence around it. And then that's about it. It's a pretty simple structure at the end of the day.
I see. How high are the walls?
The palisades are about 6 foot, so not very high at all.
Yeah, tall enough for a halfling.
Tall enough for a halfling, very true. That's like a 12-foot wall for a halfling.
I did want to ask that guard his name before I left.
Duncan.
Duncan. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Duncan. My name is Wallace.
He just chuckles.
Yes, I hope it's a funny name. Better than me.
Simple name.
Yes, exactly. And then I'll head off to the bar, but I do want to take 5 at some point if we get a chance.
Yeah, in fact, I think while you head off to the bar, that's a perfect chance. So, we'll be right back. Anatoly, following the little prison scouting, for no reason, you return to the bar, or I guess go to the bar for the first time. There is a
some halflings about. A couple of them cast glances, but remain on their thing. There is 3 types of tables, like 3 types of places to sit in this bar. There is halfling only, mixed human and halfling, and human only. No one else is in the human only section at the moment. There are a couple people seated at like mixed tables where there's a mixture of halfling and human chairs. No humans though. Like this bar, you are the only human in here at the moment.
I see. I'll go to the mixed section.
Yeah, there you are you looking to play a game or just drink?
I'll play a game, sure.
There are 2 halflings sitting at a table. Each of them holds little decks of like lacquered pieces of wood. And as you sit down, one of them will glance over. He looks at the other one, and the second of the 2 halflings will say in common, "Howdy. Are you familiar?"
I'm not right, Eric.
No, you have no fucking idea what this is. Well, it's called war. Do you want to learn?
Yes,
Sure.
I suppose.
Where are you from? We don't get many visitors that don't work at the prison.
Oh, I'm a merchant. They're coming through.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you want to? Well, what made you want to brave the risk? I mean, are you really down? Are you necessary? Like, do you need funds or?
Well, yes, we are merchants, so we are looking for profitability. And my colleague, she knew people here, so.
Who does she know?
Several, yeah. What's the man here? She knew him, and then several others. I don't know how she came to meet them all.
Neat. Well, he kind of basically takes his whole little pile of lacquered strips of woods and slide them over to you. And there's 3 distinct types amongst these little strips of wood. So each of the pieces of wood is like enough to be held in your hand. So it's like, a halfling hand. So it's like 3 inches long, 2 inches wide, something like that. And they have little images painted on them and then lacquered over. So one of them depicts a knight, like on a horseback. Another one depicts a swordsman. And the last one depicts a musketeer. And there's 3 of each. So you have 9 little strips of wood in front of you. And he'll say, "All right, so this is the horseman, or the knight, I guess you could call it since you're a human. This one's the musketeer. I don't really know what you call it for human, but, well, we have musketeers. And then this one is the spearman, the pikeman."
Yes, all right.
So you want to hold your strips to your chest and shuffle them about so that he can't see, and he points at the other halfling.
All right, I'll shuffle them.
Yeah, you basically form what is a hand, essentially, of these little strips of wood. And then he says, the halfling next to you says, "All right, now you can put any number of the strips face down in front of you. And if you do the counter of your opponent's, you destroy his piece of wood. But if you run out of all your pieces of wood first, without him losing his, then you lose. So, spear counter horse, horse counter musket, musket counter spear."
Yes, all right.
And the halfling across from you, who clearly does not speak your language, which is probably why he hasn't said anything up to this point, will slide 3 lacquered slips in front of him face down.
I see. I'll slide 3 back, sure.
What 3 are you putting down on the table?
What do I have again?
You have 3 knights, 3 pikemen, and 3 musketeers.
I'll do 2 pikemen and a musketeer.
Okay, you put down 2 pikemen and a musketeer. Then the halfling next to you, he kind of like scoots to your side of the table and he says, "All right, now, you see Root here, he's a big fan of the Gondian opening, meaning 3 horses. So, let's see." And then you both flip, and sure enough, he has 3 horses on the field. So what were the slips you played again? You said a musketeer and
2 pikemen.
Okay, that resolves very well for you. Your musketeer basically goes into the dead pile of all these lacquer strips which you placed to the side. 2 of his horses go there, and then you reclaim your pieces. So a musketeer is gone from your little slips forever, and 2 of his horses are gone from his little slips forever. And the halfling next to you says, "That's not bad. That's a really good opener. I mean, it can always be a little bit better, but you almost got a full wipe."
Yeah.
And the halfling across the table mumbles something in halfling, and the one next to you says, Arthway! Arthway! He was upset. Don't worry about it. You did great. So, now what do you think he's going to play next? The halfling across from you slides a single lacquered slip down under the table, face down.
Just the one, huh?
He's trying to mind game you, I bet. What does it mean? The halfling next to you is like leaning forward. He's super into this. This is his favorite game.
I'll put down one pikeman.
You flip, and he has a single horse, which then joins the others in a pile of corpses. And you kind of look at the table, and the halfling across from you looks despondent. The halfling next to you says, "You won."
I won.
Well, think about it. If he has no horses left, he can't destroy any of your musketeers. It means he can never empty your hand. So you've won.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. And the other one mumbles something, and he says, "That's not true. It's not. Sorry." He switches to the other tongue and says, "Arthway, Gothgaithen." And he says, "He said it was beginner's luck, but it wasn't beginner's luck. He did the same opener he always does." And they'll play some more war with you. It's a pretty simple game at its core. It's rock, paper, scissors with a bit more elements to it, but it's not bad. They also don't gamble on it. It's just a fun little game that they're playing when they're off work, which is farming. So they're off work a lot of the time. They'll even tell you that this game isn't even from this little village. It's not from Hampshire at all. It's actually a Neftaran game. And a Neftaran merchant was here probably a decade ago that they bought these little lacquered slips off of. Yeah. Well, Sophia, while you're getting shown some of the local produce by the Baron, the wine and all those other things, is there any information you're trying to gather?
Probably the state of Hampshire. Maybe some information about what's his name? I had to restart Chrome, so I lost my sheet. Like try to find out some more information about Radish, how he's been doing, if he's currently looking or buying or trading anything.
Yeah, so the Baron does not know much about finance. In fact, roll me like I guess insight's the most applicable skill here.
Okay.
Yeah, the Baron, one, does not know anything about merchanting, and two, you can kind of gather what his level of education is overall by the way he talks. And this is not like a new thing to you, it's just, in this particular discussion, it becomes more obvious. He basically only knows farming and, like, food-related costs. So, for Hampshire, he will update you on food prices, which I actually don't remember how. I think they're weird, but let's go see. Yeah, the demand for food is relatively well taken care of by the local communities, which stands out because on almost everything else, they're completely lacking them. And he also knows animal prices pretty well. But when it comes to like weapons or armor or anything like that, he's completely clueless. And when you bring up Councilman Radish, he doesn't so much know Councilman Radish's financial position, but he does call Councilman Radish a fence sitter in this sort of like Bloodfoot Luvenzen conflict, which he doesn't particularly like because he thinks the Bloodfoots are psychotic.
Gotcha.
But yeah, for animals and food, Hampshire is relatively well supplied. Also, you don't really have anything to sell them on those fronts, so the information is not super helpful.
Gotcha.
Well, as it gets later into the evening, the Baron will dismiss himself because he has to go speak with Sir Roland regarding business. And he'll invite you to, like, feel free to continue to move about his house. His servants will be to provide you with things. He also has some halfling books, like written in the halfling language, but he needs to go.
Gotcha.
How do you want to pass the evening?
If he's not specifically offering anything, does he have like a library maybe?
Yeah. He does.
I'll probably go just check that out then.
Yeah, it's a small library. It has about 20 books in it. Books are incredibly expensive, and books written in halfling are ungodly expensive. A normal book will cost like 50 gold. A halfling book, hundreds maybe. Like, these are relatively collector items because they're just not really produced. Most of the books in here are historical because those are the most common. There's a cookbook in halfling, which is interesting. Lots to busy you. Do you worry about Anatoly at all, or do you just trust that he's taking care of himself?
My job was to get him here. It's up to him to make good relations.
Okay, fair enough. So as far as you're concerned, you've finished half your job now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, Anatoly, in the bar, you've been playing war with these two halflings for the better part of an hour, almost two. And slowly, the bar is starting to fill up with people, both halflings and soldiers that are getting off work at the prison. So there's like 2-3 humans, there's like 20 halflings. Things are getting a bit more lively. The two men, like the two halflings you sat next to, they have a fourth friend that comes in. He brings his own set of like lacquered things. So now you're playing 3-way war. It's fucking crazy. The rules go wild. What's your plan here?
What's the segregation distribution? How many people are on the exclusive sides versus
On the
mixed?
halfling exclusive side, it's most of them, because that's where most of the seating is. Most of the humans are going into the mixed seating area. Like currently, there's no human sitting in the human-only section, because that's like one table. And it'd be kind of sad to sit at one table alone in a bar full of busy people. Or, I guess, talking people.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess my goal is to just kind of make friends and scope out what the local situation is. Yeah.
Yeah, just roll me a general persuasion check then. Yeah, I think that getting beyond your small little table of 3 halflings proves difficult. You have been branded as a bit of a gamester, and that is seemingly a lower social group in this village. It's seen as a somewhat childish activity. But you are able to learn most of the, like, you can basically ask questions of these other halflings you're playing games with. Only one of them speaks common, the other two only speak halfling. But you can start to learn that in Hampshire, the city dwellers are some of the most like racist anti-humans by far, because they're the city that got sacked. Little villages like this one basically were passed over by the Crusade. The Crusaders walked through, told everyone, hey, you're worshiping the Jade Lady now. They said, sure, fine, whatever, we can add her to our pantheon. And then the Crusaders left. So realistically, their lives have really only improved post-Crusade, and they bear very little ill will. They're more scared of the Bloodfoots than they are the human occupation.
I see. So there aren't a lot of Bloodfoot sympathizers around here.
At least not at this little table you're seated at. None of
Is
them
this the
speak of them
only-
like heroes.
Is this the only bar in town?
It is indeed. It's a very small little village.
Interesting.
One of the halflings you're sitting with, though, he'll invite you to come back to his house and play more war once the bar closes.
Yeah, sure.
He'll kind of jump up and down a little bit. They're really not beating the just human children allegations.
I'm gonna ask them to teach me some halfling.
Okay, sure. One of the one who's been basically talking to you this entire time will say, all right, well, let's just do the pieces in the game. So this is the knight. In halfling, we would say Marshog.
Marshog.
Yes. All right. Then this one. This is a musketeer. In halfling, we would say Musqueduer. You see, it's similar. It's because you took that word from us. At least, I think so. Anyways, that's musketeer. And then, for the last one, spearman. In your tongue, it's gonna be spearman. In ours, it's Gwaiwiffin.
Guy Whiffin.
Gwaiwiffin. There you go, you're practically fluent. Now, the real test, can you remember any of the things I just said?
The Marshog is the knight. Musketeer is the musket, and Guy Whiffin is the spearman.
You can basically play war and halfling now.
Yeah, so I've been beating them already.
Oh. Maybe there's a little bit of beginner's luck. Once the games average out, it'll probably go back to normal. There is skill, of course, but luck is certainly a factor. They can start to slowly feed you some phrases. Halfling and specifically Estenian Common have bled together over the last few centuries. There's a lot of shared words, especially stuff related to like Halfling culture. There's a lot of shared words because the Estenians would just hear the Halfling word and then just pronounce it differently, basically. It's just a shared cognate. So, I mean, you can get like the basic stuff. Hello, my name is Anatoly, my name is Wallace. Or, you know, a lot of military terms as well. A lot of shared stuff on that. Yeah. And as the drinks continue to flow and the evening begins to wind down, the three that you're with have been drinking occasionally, but not very much. And he'll stand up and say, well, Rutabaga's going to close up the place soon. If we can keep going.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And he'll gently gather together the lacquered pieces he's been loaning you. You guys have been trading off, so he's been getting to play a bit as well. And he'll put them in a little satchel, and the three of them will begin to walk down the street as the drunkards start to spill out into the wider village. There's this general sound of revelry that spreads. It fades pretty quickly. Like, even by the time you get to this guy's house, the sound of drunk people wandering from the bar fades. And
Do we walk by the prison at all?
I mean, it's visible because it's the tallest structure in the town.
I'll ask them about it. What's the deal with that prison?
The one of them, the one who's been talking, glances over and says, "Oh, it's the biggest revenue source in town."
Really?
Yeah, the humans pay us to keep people there.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? The humans pay us to keep people there.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes, to the Baron. I understand.
Yeah.
How many humans come there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I know there's at least one in there. They made a big deal about a human they caught a couple of weeks ago. I think there was one a couple of months ago as well. Also, there used to, last year, before the assassination of King Mathys, there was this goblinoid war band that started to plague the countryside. Whole bunch of them were executed there.
Oh, God. I hear they have to starve the prisoners instead of outright killing them.
Well, only for humans and halflings. Those goblin executions were something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an insult to the bodies to spill blood onto the earth, and it's kind of hard to execute someone without spilling blood. Even hangings can sometimes. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't know too much about the Jade Lady faith. I mean, I am a worshiper, but I just don't know too much about it, and I'm sure you got some loopholes in your religion, and our loophole is starvation.
Yeah, that's it.
And when you eventually reach his house, it's a pretty modest little dwelling for you. It is very modest because it's like modest for a halfling. It has like one room and the ceilings are like 5 feet tall. So for you, it's like instantly stooping. There is no chairs that fit you. It's just like, it's very uncomfortable. But him and his fellows start to drink more, and they continue to play war. And you know, it's like that scene from, I think it's The Hobbit, where Gandalf is like fucking massive and everything else in frame is like really tiny. Like you are just this massive figure inside of this little halfling's home, while everything is tiny in comparison. The cups, the forks, everything. You feel like you've just grown into like a giant or something. And is there anything else you'd like to get from them as they're feeling more talkative, their lips are starting to get loosened and all that?
Yeah, bring up politics, bring up the blood feet and human prisoners and guards and all that.
Well, two of the halflings don't really speak common, so you get a very limited perspective, but he's like 4 drinks in now, halfling-sized drinks, and he'll say, I don't know, I guess, I think it's better than it was, at least for me. I've heard it's bad for some other folks, but, I mean, I'd never join the Bloodfoots. They say there's going to be another crusade, but why would there be another crusade? We haven't done anything. And we worship the lady and all that. What would they be crusading against?
Isn't it different in Hampshire? Wouldn't they go for them again?
Sure, but let them. I'm not from Hampshire.
Are there any in town who feel differently?
Well, a lot of the older folks, they had a hard time giving up the worship of the nature spirits. A couple folks still send charms up into the hills. But, I think most people got over it.
Well, what do you mean by these charms in the hills?
Oh, it's just offerings to the wind spirits, the hill spirits, the spring spirits. Just trying to get a better harvest.
Ah, yes, something like that.
But, I mean, those are the real old folks. I mean, those in their 2nd century or so. The rest of us are pretty adaptable. I mean, if the Jade Lady's willing to make our fields grow, why not worship her?
Yes, yeah. I suppose many take that view.
You probably worship the lady, right?
I do, yeah.
Does everyone in, Stenia worship the lady?
Almost all do, with some secret holdouts, but many worship her in different ways, have different understandings of her.
Oh, interesting. The, Order of the Flaming Sword, they say that, there's only one interpretation.
Yes, the orders are rather harsh in their methods and mentality.
Are they harsher than other lady worshippers?
Yes, much.
Oh. Does that mean you're... Well, what's an order? Are you an Order of the Flaming Sword? I thought all lady worshippers were then.
No, I'm not part of the Order of the Flaming Sword.
The only types of priests that have come around here belong to them. What are the other ones? What even is an order?
An order is just a grouping of worshippers. There's other orders. There's, no. Pull that little charm out of my pocket. There's the healing tree, for starters. They're pacifists. They focus on healing others.
He'll kind of nod slowly and kind of hold the amulet. It's really big in his hands, and he'll say, huh. So what's the difference?
They just believe we should behave in different ways in honor of the lady.
But you all still worship the same lass, so why is there differences?
Some people worship her so differently that others say it's unrecognizable as lady worship.
You guys probably kill each other over that, don't you? Because the Order of the Flaming Sword, they threaten to do all sorts of burnings and stuff whenever people worship the nature spirits.
Yes, we've gotten into some conflicts over it.
I mean, I don't mean to be dismissive, but
It seems an awfully narrow faith where everyone has to worship the exact same way if you're all worshiping the same lady at the end of the day.
I have no doubt that most do it wrong, but I do believe there is a right way. I just believe that most have lost it.
So you feel real strongly about this stuff, huh?
Not entirely,
All right, then.
but I do have my opinions.
And he'll try to transition from that back to war. And you'll continue to play with the lacquered pieces, and you can try to float a couple other questions. He'll even ask the other two, but these three halflings are deeply unconcerned with the state of affairs.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend.
Indeed. And I mean,
Still good to know them.
yeah, true. They're most halflings, at least out in the countryside, don't care very much. And yeah, you can spend the rest of the evening with them. Eventually, they have to get sleepy time because they got to wake up tomorrow early in the morning to continue sowing the fields. So you head out and wander back to the Baron's home. There is 2 lights on inside, and you walk up to the door a little bit. I mean, probably not drunk at all. You've been drinking fucking halfling-sized drinks, so you're, I'd imagine, completely stone sober at this point. Give a little knock on the door, and the halfling servant who you spoke to before, you never caught his name, he'll open up the door and say, "Ah, good, the Baron was getting worried about you. Would you like to be seen to your room, or are you going to be awake a bit longer?"
I'll be seen to my room.
Alrighty. And he leads you past a library where you can see Sophia curled up on a halfling-sized chair reading a book. And he'll lead you to a kind of circular door. Yeah?
I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to speak to Sophia for a moment.
Ah, alrighty. No problem. And when you're done, there's a circular... She knows where the room is.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
He'll walk away to go clean something.
Hello, Sophia.
I'm sorry. Was I asleep?
You're just in the library reading.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It's just us in here, right, Eric?
It is indeed just you.
Anyone watching or listening?
Perception check. No, not that you can tell.
Are we heading to Hampshire after this?
Plan.
What are we going to sell there? We sold all of the cloth here.
I still have the remaining spears, halberds, and chain armor. We're most likely going to end up selling to humans instead there to not get us into any more trouble.
Will your friend who you wrote to be annoyed?
Possibly, but he'll understand. Most of the stuff that he'd end up buying anyway has already been sold.
Yes, you should not have sold all of it.
I doubt he'll be willing to pay the same prices that I charged here, though, since the Baron's less picky about that.
And then I'll just walk away. I don't know.
Well,
As she's walking away, she'll say, "Have you made any friends? Started getting your foot in the door?"
I'm friends with some farmers.
Does it seem like you're going to be able to accomplish your goal?
You do not need to inquire about that.
When it's my job to make sure that you meet your goal. That's why I brought you here. If I come back and find out that you didn't, then it doesn't really help my situation.
I'll let you know.
Shall not. Please do.
Okay. Well, Sophia, you were starting to drift off anyways. These halfling books, despite you being able to speak halfling, are fucking hard to read. Your fluency does not really extend as much to reading and writing. So, the two of you get some sleep, and this is one of the nicer sleeps you've had since you began your journey. Not all inns and taverns are bad, but they're not good. And this is quite nice. The beds are a bit small, but they're very squishy. There's perks to being nobility. And the next morning, you'll be woken up to the smell of a breakfast cornucopia. Halflings are not vegetarians by any means, but they do have access to large amounts of it, so that is mostly what they're serving you for breakfast. You know, we're talking fried Brussels sprouts, we're talking bell peppers cut up and turned into like a noodle type thing with like bits of wheat and like seeds. You know, it's a very unconventional Estenian meal, but by halfling standards, it's quite a feast. And as you are having breakfast, the Baron is nowhere to be seen, but the servant will keep delivering new dishes to you until you basically tell him to stop. Are you filling up to the brim on halfling cooking?
Sure. I don't have much like big meals on the way here, so I'll take the opportunity.
All right. Well, eventually, pretty late into your breakfast, the Baron himself will go into the room. He looks tired, like he did not get a lot of sleep, and he'll sit down at the head of the table and give a nod to you and say, "Good morning."
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you're headed out this morning?
Yes, unless you had any other reason to stay.
No, I spoke to Sir Roland, and I won't be able to get you an escort to Hampshire. But it's only a couple of miles.
May I ask why?
An incident
Is the area
happened.
more dangerous that way?
No, an incident happened southwest of Dunfion, and him and the rest of his knights rode north late at night.
What happened?
Well, the 12 insight... He's definitely not telling the full truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you can't really tell what he's lying about, but he's definitely not giving the full explanation. But he'll answer you, Anatoly, and say, there was another ambush, the Bloodfoots. They attacked a halfling village.
Can I do an insight on that?
Sure. That much seems to be true. There was an attack against a halfling village.
Which village is that?
It's the barony of Gwythed. It's, as I said, southwest of Dunfion.
What happened exactly?
I don't know. There was a messenger late at night, and I wasn't told the details, but Sir Roland said that we'd have to delay the prisoner transfer, and he'd have to go investigate and punish anyone that he could find. I got the feeling, though, that some humans died, so some hangings will be in order.
Yes. Which, what time was this?
Oh, I don't know. It probably, messengers take time to travel, so it probably was 2 or 3 days ago.
Yes, I see. I mean, what time last night?
Oh. Well, after sundown. I was at the prison for other reasons, so... I assume neither of you woke up when I got home.
I did not.
Good. I wouldn't have wanted to interrupt your sleep. Well, it's been a pleasure putting you up, and you should probably get going sooner rather than later. After hangings, the Bloodfoots are always a bit more active.
Thank you for the warning.
Of course. And you finish up your breakfast and head out to your...
I will
yeah?
bug him. Did you ever get that letter of recommendation?
Yes, I did not, but I will have it written by the time your cart is ready.
Much appreciated. And again, thanks for allowing us to stay.
Of course. And you head out and begin to get your cart loaded up, mostly with your horses specifically. And after you finish hitching up Gallant, you climb up into the driver's seat, and the Baron's servant will come out. He holds a scroll with a seal stamped onto it, and he'll extend it up to you, Sophia. You're gonna have to lean down to grab it because he's so short.
I do so.
Yeah. He says, "From the Baron."
Give him my thanks.
Will do. Good luck.
She'll nod. Give him a wave.
Yeah, and you back your cart up and rattle down to the town square. Anatoly, you kind of keep your eyes out to see if you'll see your war buddies, but as in the board game war. And you don't see it.
If we leave earshot of the manor, I want to ask Anatoly, what do you think? Should we leave for Hampshire?
I would like to go to Hampshire, but if your one contact will be annoyed.
I don't think that'll be the problem. I'm more worried about getting attacked on the way there.
Suppose that is a risk.
There is street signs here. Sorry, road signs, not street signs. So you know that Hampshire is about a half day, so it's about 4 hours by cart away.
While you're out in the town, do you know if they have any mercenaries here?
I did not learn of any such thing, so I doubt it.
Do I know of any mercenaries? Or I usually don't go to this town, huh?
Yeah.
Does it look like there are any signs for places that might, like, have that kind of business, or not really?
Nah, unfortunately, too small of a town.
Yeah. I mean, I won't pry too much into your capabilities, but there's a fair chance on the way to Hampshire you're gonna have to protect us. Is that something you're okay with?
My capabilities are not incredible, but...
Without an escort and without mercenaries to hire, there's a likely chance we'll get into some trouble. If that's worth the risk for you, then we'll be on our way. Does this place have places to send letters?
It does not, unfortunately. Too small.
Half a day's journey. I wonder if we would be able to get an escort. No, if it were to go now is the time. Otherwise, like he said, those hangings will have them all up in arms.
You prefer me go double pace then?
I would say we go average place and
Just double checking something. Back in Fiordanza, you sent a letter to Councilman Radish, and you told him that you were going through Dunfion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I told him that instead of going, due to the dangerous nature, that I was able to get an escort basically in Dunfjorn, and then I'll head to Hampshire.
Cool.
Yes, I would say we go. We should be fine.
All right, if you say so.
Well, you turn your cart southward and start turning.
Eric,
Yeah?
I'm gonna wear my little healing tree cross.
Okay, your healing tree holy symbol. Well, Sophia, Anatoly takes out a holy symbol that you recognize what it is. Like, you've seen other members of that order before, but he's never worn one before.
I'll just assume he has good reason.
Okay.
I also assume I don't have one. I am a Jade Lady worshiper.
Yeah, unless it's on your sheet
botanical.
specifically, you don't have them. Most Jade Lady worshippers don't belong to a particular order, so they don't wear stylized holy symbol. They just wear a generic holy symbol to the lady, if they even have one.
Okay, well, since he wants to go at normal pace, then I will be want looking around, being more perceptive.
Yeah. So
I want to.
Oh yeah.
If I need to let Anatoly drive to be on the lookout, then I can do that.
Okay, no, I mean, yeah, you can be on the lookout. The cart doesn't move very fast. So I've described the terrain up to this point, and for Hampshire, it changes. Like, there's a reason why Hampshire / New Breton is where it is, because it is on a flat, open plain where a city can actually develop. There are hills around it, but after you leave Glen Fair, it only takes about a mile, or I guess 2 miles, before you leave this kind of hilly section, and immediately kind of relief starts to hit you.
You cut off for
His internet is
for
having
that
a
whole
stroke,
thing.
Dota.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after you leave Glen Fair, the rolling hills of the terrain gives way to a flat, open plain. There are 3 large hills near Hampshire, but they're all to the south and southwest, not where you are. So, only 2 miles through little hilled roads until you get out to this flat plain, and then relief, because they're just not going to attack you. This is agricultural countryside. There's not areas for which they can pounce from the woods and strike you. It seems like that area between Cadmore, Glenfair, and Dun, that kind of triangle, is the easy places to attack. This one less so. And as your cart continues to clip-clop, Sophia, you spot a armored horseback rider, a human to be clear, starting to clip-clop down the road in your direction. He's coming opposite direction of you from Hampshire.
Does it look like he's coming for us?
No,
or
he's
like
just going down the road.
I will kind of elbow Anatoly and motion towards. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like a knight of some kind, maybe dispatched to that same massacre we heard about.
Yeah, at this point he's just a distant silhouette.
You think we'll be alright going past him?
Do we have that writ, or whatever it was that the Baron gave us?
She'll nod.
We'll find out. You'll
Slowly.
catch up to us even if we turn around.
She'll tense up a little and be like, alright. And then kind of whip the horse to move a little bit faster.
Alrighty. Slowly, the silhouette resolves into a knight. Sure enough, he has a long white beard, a big bushy white beard, wiry. His hair is kind of slicked back and thinning. His skin is paper thin, and you can see the veins beneath. He's very old for a knight, but he does have plate armor, though it's pretty thin. It's more like half plate because it doesn't cover some areas. And as he approaches your cart, he'll kind of raise a hand and say, "Hail!"
Yeah.
Just waving at us?
Kind of. More raising a hand to have you halt and talking to you.
She'll start to slow down.
He'll kind of clip-clop over and say, "Greetings, I'm Sir Hugh de Clare. Would you be a merchant from the Ravenna Merchants Guild? I've been looking for one."
I am.
Do you know Councilman Radish?
I do.
I had expected you at Cadmore Heniod, and then I got a letter saying that you had redirected to Dunfion. I was going to escort you to New Breton, but it seems as if you've made it through the worst of it.
Yes, we had some news that the travel to get to you would have been more perilous, so we took a different route.
Yes, it's no trouble. I was returning a favor to the councilman anyways. I'll bring you to his residence.
Much appreciated, and sorry for the extra trouble.
It's fine. And he'll just kind of turn the horse around. Just that meager conversation has left him a little bit breathless. And he begins to clip-clop towards Hampshire, and he'll say, he'll basically be moving in tandem with your carriage. And he'll say, "So, how do you know the councilman?"
Oh, we've kind of introduced me to this area and opened up to this for trade.
I see.
How do you know the councilman?
I was fighting for Hampshire prior to the Crusade.
Really?
Yes. I've been a knight for a very long time, and they didn't have as much training in mounted warfare.
It's very curious. So you're a knight fighting on the side of the halflings.
Suppose so.
It's not a bad side to fight on.
Yes. In what ways?
Prior to most battles back when I was a knight in Estenia, all the young men would be pissing themselves with fear. They're feudal levies. They don't want to be fighting at all, really. But in Hampshire, the halflings are a different breed. They know that one bad war could be the end of their people. So even conscripts have a certain grit to them.
Yes. Do the halflings, do they tend to accept you?
No, of course not. To them, humans are the people who burned down their city, killed their wives and children, pillaged their goods, and then left.
Yes, and you helping them makes little difference.
No, of course not. I mean, for those who know me it does, but there are tens of thousands of halflings and only one of me.
What do you make of these blood feet?
I can hardly blame them.
I'd heard they had a human with them that was captured.
Aye, we did.
In fact, he'll point towards a watchtower about a mile. So Hampshire is very in the distance. It's like another 10 miles to get there, but it's just because it's on this like large rise that you can even see it. In between you, it's more like a silhouette, but in between you, there's this watchtower. It's actually very close to where you guys are now. It's this large stone watchtower, a little like bonfire at the top that's not burning right now. It's just a big pile of wood, and he points out the bonfire and says,
It was right there, actually, that he was captured.
Really? What is it?
It's a signal tower. It's supposed to, well, when the Duke decided to violate the decrees of King Mathys, he set up a number of those as well as forts throughout the country to try to seize control of it. If one of them is attacked, they're supposed to light the bonfire, alert all the others. From what I heard, he points towards a kind of depressed section of fields. There is about 20 or so Redfoots hiding in there, alongside the human. When night fell, they attacked the tower. The front door was barred and they couldn't get inside, so they tried to break in, but by the time they had, the bonfire had already been lit. Riders approached from Glenfair and Hampshire. I'm not exactly sure of the specifics. All I know is that in the fighting there were 2 dead knights, 2 dead soldiers, and everyone of the Redfoots escaped except for the human.
Do you know anything about him?
Heard stories. Why do you care?
I'm curious.
roll persuasion check.
Working on it.
No rush.
He was a foreigner. I heard he was from the Lord's League. He had a big beard. It looked, well, from what I heard is that he looked very unkempt, like he'd been with the Redfoots out in the wilderness for a while. I also heard that he was roughed up quite badly.
Yes. Do you know why they were attacking the tower?
I couldn't say exactly, but the Bloodfoots have a single goal: get the Luvensan occupation to end and the independence of Hampshire. It's a pretty obvious target. 2 men alone in a tower. I'm more surprised that they got caught.
Yes.
You know,
You switch between calling them the Bloodfoots and the Redfoots.
It's the same in Halfling. It's only in common that there's a distinction. Red is the color of blood.
Do they call themselves the Bloodfoots?
No.
They call themselves the Twigeith.
What does that mean?
Bloodfoot. Something like it. It's a reference to an old halfling poem.
What is the poem?
It says that men with feet of blood will have no fear. Lots of halfling poetry speaks of their feet.
Yes, that makes sense.
They believe that their courage is in there. Similar to, in common, we'd say our gut. That's sort of what their feet are to them. I'm sure if you were a halfling, you'd support the Bloodfoot feet as well. Well, all of Estenia used to be halfling, you know, before the Protonic migration. Not just Estenia, Western Hathon, the Lord's League, Northern Cavaranth. Now look at them.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
Oh, 700 years, give or take. And there was more than one tribe. There was the Broadbeams, the Stoutfoots, the... Oh. My memory fails me, but I remember there were 6 tribes among them. Only these are left. And they don't even call themselves tribes anymore. What's the point? They're the last ones still around. If I were a halfling, I'd be with the Bloodfeet for certain.
Yes, it's unfortunate what's become of them.
Well, in truth, we can blame that assassin in white. If good King Mathys still lived, the Duke of Luvenza would be hung from a rope.
Are you worried about the Duke starting anything soon?
He already has. The decrees of Mathys were clear. Not a single outpost or settlement, other than by halflings, should be built in the halfling baronies. When his body was still warm, he already violated that order, appointed a new castellan, did everything he could to violate halfling autonomy. I wouldn't be shocked if within the year he declares it annexed into the duchy. What's stopping him? His face is kind of contorted with bitterness.
Are there many humans here who are sympathetic to the halflings, or is it only yourself?
There are a few others, but it's only doomed humanitarians, like the Order of the Healing Tree.
Yes, I've heard.
Well, and I'm guessing you didn't find their argument of pacifism very persuasive.
Does he see the holy symbol he has?
Yeah, he probably doesn't notice it now. He doesn't seem... He seems very emotional, but, you know, various things of age seem to have caught up to him. You know, his memory slips, his like, perception isn't very good. Just in general, you know, he's well past his prime of fighting. well past his prime in general.
I'm sympathetic to their views, but I'm no pacifist, no.
No, and I wouldn't expect you to be. The Jade Lady wasn't a pacifist. I think only someone who is already going to be a pacifist can read the words of the lady and come away from it thinking that she supports that. She supports honor and chivalry and virtue and fighting for what is right.
Tell me, how can I show the halflings that I care for them?
Lead for them.
Yes, I understand.
There's a halfling phrase. It says that words are easy, but if you want to know a man's truth, look at his feet during a fight. As I said, they like their feet. He takes he's like fully out of breath, so he takes a couple deep breaths as you guys continue to clop towards Hampshire.
Sophia, have you just been silently listening to all this?
I think she's more worried about looking or being perceptive since this guy doesn't look like he will do that well in a fight besides being a deterrent.
Yeah, so you're still looking towards like the surrounding agriculture and all that stuff, worrying about bloodfoots popping up from the fucking the grasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this is the final bit of our journey. It's the last thing I want.
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense. Well, slowly the city of Hampshire comes into view, and Hampshire is unique. This is not a city built into a hillside. This is not a quaint little village. This was at one point one of the most fortified cities in the world. The halflings have guns. They use cannons. Well, they used cannons, most of which were bought from Al Sarah, which is a nation of the far south, at an incredible markup. So they built their city to withstand that type of defenses. They had large bastions built outside of the city with interlocking fire patterns, with, artillery that guarded one. It's one of the reasons why the siege of Hampshire took almost 2 years to actually break the city, even though they were outnumbered 8-1, were being starved the whole time. Like, they had every disadvantage, and yet they held for a shockingly long time against overwhelming numbers. Now, all of those have been torn down. The Baron mentioned to you, Sophia, that the Western Bastion had been rebuilt. What the bastions used to do was they were outside of the city walls, and they were these little keeps that were supported by artillery fire. Now what the bastion is built for is to be an external castle as a human garrison to watch over the city, because the city has no walls anymore. And so there's a keep on a critical hillside overlooking the city that currently flies the banner of the Duke of Luvenza, which, further violates the decrees of King Mathys. And as you approach what was once a gatehouse but is now just an archway, Hugh de Clare will say,
Well, the councilman is probably at the council hall, but we should wait for him at his home. He would not want his business being interrupted.
Shall not.
and his forehead kind of glistens with sweat a bit, and he wipes it off, and you guys enter into the city of Hampshire. Hampshire is big population-wise, even after the sacking. I mean, obviously you guys don't know numbers on how brutal the sacking was to the city, but it sounded real fucking bad. But the city seems mostly okay in terms of population. Like, it's bigger than Ravenna, it's bigger than Luvenza, it's bigger than any human city, and without walls it just kind of sprawls in all directions. You also notice lots of pagan imagery here. You see evil eyes, which is a very common, even peasant tradition in Estenia, carved into some doors to guard them from evil. You see holly and mistletoe and other sort of spices and things believed to ward against evil hanging from the rafters of windows and stuff. This is the one city in all of Estenia that is explicitly allowed to have their own local religion, and they display it everywhere. You go past little shrines. These are not stone-built structures like a shrine to the lady, for instance. These are just little, like, alongside a otherwise busy street, there's an idol of a local spirit and then a bunch of offerings at its base. And these spirits are diverse. There is wind spirits, air spirits, spirits of poop, spirits of pee, spirits of sickness and rats and all other things. Literally anything that exists, there's a spirit of it as you guys head through the city streets. And for the first time since you've been in Hampshire, Sophia, this feels familiar. Like, there is no, like, atmosphere of danger hanging over the city. There is no, like, oh shit, like, this is scary. It's Hampshire. It's technically it's called New Breton now, but it's Hampshire. It's the same as you left it. And you head past the more ruined parts of the city towards the councilman's home. The councilman's home is a very nice house in the old district, which was once the nicest part of the city, but in the sacking it was basically leveled to nothing. So these are all new structures, and very obviously so, because the timbers that make them are brand new. But you will head up to a gate where Sir de Clare will kind of clear his throat aggressively until a servant comes and opens it. And then he will guide you to a stable where he'll dismount his horse and help you guys guide your horses and your carriage in. And then he'll kind of lean against the wall and take a couple deep breaths and say,
Well, the councilman will probably be busy until, I would reckon, this afternoon. So feel free to go about your business.
No problem at all. And thank you again for the escort.
Of course.
so, what now?
I had to relaunch my browser. I lost the notes I had, but there was someone in here that they told us that would be better to trade with, so we didn't get in trouble with the humans.
Yes, the Castellan. He's the human occupation administrator, essentially.
Gotcha. I want to try to meet with him in the meantime.
Okay. Well, as I said, the old district was functionally leveled, so you just kind of walk through the old quarter. And, you kind of look around for the building that would be most associated with him. Like, how would you find a building that he's located in? Or are you just going to ask some local halflings?
If there's nothing that stands out, then... Well, do I know what he actually is? Is he like a garrison person? Is he like a noble? Like,
Kind of. So, I mean, the title Castellan has existed since the baronies has. It was a role to basically like watch over the halflings and make sure that they were not having their rights violated. However, the Castellan has since been replaced by the Duke of Luvenza to be more favorable towards him. So what you're looking for is like probably a family member of the Duke or like some sort of military like occupation person.
Gotcha.
Something like that. So just asking a local.
Yeah, I don't think any building's going to stand out for that.
All right. They will inform you that the Western Bastion, which has recently been rebuilt, that flutters with the banners of the Duke of Luvenza, that is where the occupation and the Castellan is located. And you'll learn that the Castellan is indeed a family member of the Duke. His name is Castellan Percival Woodstock.
Gotcha.
You would also recognize that name, Anatoly, because the Woodstock family were originally counts, but after aiding King Mathys, they were promoted to dukes, and so they are a recent kind of like new nobility in the realm. Yeah, recently risen to prominence.
Shout out.
Shout out. So it's a bit of a walk to get from the counselor's home up to the Castellan's castle, and the Western Bastion is a newly built fort. In fact, people are still in the process of like carving out statues and all sorts of other things. It seems a bit of a waste to have torn down the Western Bastion only to rebuild it 2 years later, but that's what they've done. The gate is also not closed, much like any of the other fortresses maintained by Estenia. It's kind of like a place of public congregation. You wouldn't be shocked if in a couple of years a whole castle town starts to appear around this fort. And you head inside, and similar to, again, your previous experience, you head through administrative offices, talk to locals, and soon enough, you can get yourself a meeting with the Castellan. You are guided through the castle, sort of spiraling upwards, until eventually you walk into a narrow office. Anatoly kind of trails behind you. And the Castellan's office is very sparse because this is all brand new furniture. There's a table, 2 chairs, and a single bookshelf with 1 book on it. And the Castellan is currently seated behind a desk looking at a long ledger, but he'll glance up. He's an older man, like 60s, 70s. He has a scar on his lip. He has like white thinning hair. And he'll say, "Greetings. You are a merchant, I've been told."
Yes, looking to sell some weapons and some armor.
Excellent. Place your right on the table, and then we can get started.
She'll do so.
All right. And I can assume this is your apprentice and will thus take no commission.
That's correct.
All right, well. What exactly do you offer?
I have 20 spears, 10 halberds, and 2 chain armor.
All right. He looks through the... Actually, roll me a quick perception check, I think is the most applicable thing here.
Not insight?
I think perception is most applicable, yeah.
Okay.
So he's flipping through a ledger, and like you're basically trying to read the script upside down, because that ledger says exactly what is in the castle storage and like what he wants to get those numbers to. So with a 13, you can read most of it. Basically, what you learn is that the tips you received about Hampshire needing weapons were way understating it. For example, he wants to have 500 spears in storage. he has 10. He wants to have, basically it's the same for every equipment. He is super, super understaffed in terms of all the equipment he wants. Because again, this fort was completed like a month ago. So he needs everything. Now he'll flip through the ledger and try to, he keeps it cool. He kind of purses his lips a bit and says, well, then I think we can discuss market rate. So let me... let's discuss the halberds first. How many do you have?
10.
10?
Yes.
500 pence per.
$600.
He looks at you and grumbles and says, fine. 600. You said you had chain.
Yes, unfortunately only 2 since they're a
Ooh.
lot heavier, more costly.
Were you robbed on your way here?
It's not exactly as easy to purchase chain in bulk.
Are you open to further contracting?
Depending on the details, yes.
I'll buy you a whole stock, double market rate, but you'll sign a document to return with whatever supplies I may request.
Meaning orders?
Yes. We need chain, we need plate, and I'm sure you can deal with the financing. You're a merchant after all.
And would these future orders also be at
Certainly not. They would be at normal market rate, but I'm willing to start our relationship off on a good start. You're the first merchant that's gotten through to Hampshire in a month.
If negotiations will be open upon returning with these things, then I see no problem.
Fine, then. 1,200 for the halberd, 1,200 for the spears, and then 12 gold for each set of chain. That should be double market rate. I assume that satisfies you.
Very much so.
All right, then. How many suits of chain could you deliver?
Like purely on weight.
You don't have to get the exact number. Eyeballing it is sufficient.
Is the current weight... No, I need to update all this.
Yeah.
Do you have the total count of these so I can just make them 0?
Yeah, I'll do that for you real quick.
737. So we'll say 800, and so I can bring 600 back, which is 8 times 7. Wait, no, how much is that? Cool.
Doing big maths.
600 goes into that. 4 times 12 is 48.
Holy moly.
1952. 14,
I was doing
15.
trigonometry. 15? Okay.
If that's
Yeah,
the only
they-
thing I'm bringing, then I can bring 15.
The Castellan will nod and say, 15. Fine. And he starts to write out a contract very quickly. Regardless of what his other skills are, he clearly is experienced with administration. He quickly writes up a contract, ordering 15 sets of chain. He agrees to pay you a fixed amount because this was that double rate payout was a one-time thing. He will pay you 7,000 for each set of chain, fixed amount. So you need to buy it for less than that.
He said at first that it was going to be open to negotiation on return.
He said it'll be open to negotiation, but it'll start at 7,000.
I'm going to say 7,500.
He kind of furrows his brow. He clearly does not like doing merchant negotiations, but then he looks down at his ledger and he says, fine, starting at 7,500.
Not. At least then she has a gold profit per each if she gets it at market.
True. All right, you can add 60 gold to your sheet.
Augers.
Augers. big news. We are officially in the profit. since the viewers don't have access to the sheet, I will say we are currently 76 gold in pure green. Pure profit, baby.
We're in the profit by like 17 before that.
Yeah, true. That's true, actually. You made a profit at that thing. Yeah, we're almost double the amount that we started with. That's bigly. The Castellan will nod and say, well then, Miss, and he kind of looks down at your merchant writ, Miss Turner, I'm glad for a relationship like this to start. Were you escorted here by any member of the garrison?
No.
Ah, well, then you're clever. That saves me money, so I'll increase the chain to 7,700 since you're not charging me fees on any of my knights protecting you.
Come on.
Now, I'll have my men remove the... I'm sure you'll deal with my quartermaster and bring him the requisite goods. I hope this is the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship.
I look forward to it.
Good day.
Chill on.
Yeah, and as you go to the quartermaster and conduct this whole transaction, giving him the goods, collecting the coin that he owes you, Sophia, you and Anatoly exit the quartermaster's office in the keep. Your cart is practically empty of anything worth any value, but in your hands, you hold 4 coin purses of gold coins, 176,000 pence. You're in the green. I mean, you were in the green before, but now you're really in the green. You could get robbed by bandits again and still be fine. And Anatoly, you watch as, it's not as if you've searched for money your whole life or anything like that, but in her hands, Sophia is holding a very sizable amount of money, like more than you've ever seen someone hold in their hands. Obviously, you've seen much wealthier people, but not literally holding their entire net worth in their hands.
Yeah. Actually, before the guy leaves, just in case, she'll ask, and you don't happen to be wanting to get rid of anything, do you?
The Castellan will scratch his chin and think for a moment. He'll flip through the ledger provided and say, there's a surplus of food in Hampshire, but you don't strike me as a merchant of the perishable kind.
Where did we come from before this? What was the place?
Oh, the little town? Glyfair.
Where is...
I don't know if it's even on here. I don't know if I included that as one of the towns.
It is.
I will say they also had a surplus of food, though.
Has any place we really traveled through seemed like they've been down on food?
Yeah. Well, actually, let me see your information.
Right outside the...
Yeah. Fiorenza had... actually, I think most Estonian cities are having food problems. Yeah, I'm seeing Fiorenza, Gragniavalli, Gragnavalia, Fortezza. Yeah, basically every single Estonian place you've been to either has a need for food or is not going to downcharge you for it.
What type of food?
Halfling specialty. Looks like about 30,000 sheafs of wheat, 16,000 wheels of cheese, ale, honey cakes, and honey.
What's the rate on the wheat?
Wait. By what weight?
I have no clue.
We'll
sorry,
go
I'm
with,
not as familiar with trading on food.
Well, a tussle is currently being rated at 120 pence.
And how much is a tussle?
38.5 pounds.
120 pence. I have no idea. I'm assuming about market rates on this.
You literally no clue. Also, you do some quick volume and math calculations. If you filled up your entire cart to its absolute fucking limit, it'd be less than 1 gold worth of wheat.
Oh, okay.
It's just worth nothing. It's so cheap that it actually is a bad thing.
Right, it's like 0.1 gold.
You what?
You said 120 pence?
Yeah, 120 pence for 38 pounds of wheat, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I believe that'll have to be a no then.
He nods.
But I appreciate it.
He doesn't care. He's not here to facilitate halfling commerce. He's here to get some weapons.
Yeah, I thought for whatever reason in my mind when you said 120 pence, I'm thinking 1 gold, that's good.
No.
0.1 gold.
No, it's 1/10 of a gold.
Yeah.
All right, well, as you return to the councilman's lodge and prepare to deal with him, and you don't really have anything to sell him, but I think that is where we'll end the session. We've made it to Hampshire, New Perton. We're in the green, baby. We're great merchants. Let's fucking go.
I feel like there is a chance I might get some ruined relations with Radish, since I don't have any goods yet. But I think what I'll do is I will also kind of set up an order process and say, like, hey, I'm going to be coming back here. If there's anything you need, I can bring it.
And Hampshire is very small. If you can avoid the Bloodfoots killing you, you can very easily pop out to some of the surrounding villages and see if there's any price discrimination. But avoiding the Bloodfoots is a big part of that
probably
sentence.
want to avoid the smaller towns since my contacts are in the bigger towns.
Yeah.
And going to small towns, while I could make profit, it's also way more risk of a human just going there.
Yeah, true. Not wrong. Well, we'll figure out how all that works and why Anatolia was so interested in the prison in Glyfair next time. So I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Comment your theories below.
Oh, true.